We got Jesse Ventura coming in today, who believes that, the government took down the Twin Towers, we're learning?
Yeah, apparently he's of that mindset that it was a controlled explosion, blah, blah, blah. We'll have to see what his side is.
Well, we don't have to study for our Jesse Ventura interview today.
No, that's for sure.
It's going to be a bit heated.
I heard
Let's start building our wall between us and the interview.
Yeah. I heard him on Larry King, I don't know, maybe a week ago, and he sounded quite reasonable about a lot of political things, about George Bush and the candidates, Hillary and Obama. Sounded reasonable. But then you come out with something like that, oh my God, it just kind of takes your credibility and flushes it down the toilet, as my grandma used to call it, the toilet. I have to go to the toilet.
Hey, let's get back to Jesse Ventura. So we got the audio. He was on another show recently.
Did he have his feather boa on at the time?
He's looking kind of
ragged.
Well, look at the.
Yeah, I saw.
Why would that screen be?
He's looking like Scorch. I don't know what's going on with him.
He's growing one of these really long goatees. I think this is a current picture. And then he's putting rubber bands in it. This goatee I'm looking at, it's got to be about a foot, close to a foot.
You know what he looks like? He looks like James Taylor's evil twin. That's who he's looking like these days.
He looks like he knows some karate.
Yeah.
So this is Jesse Ventura on the Alex Jones show last week.
First and foremost, I think, is the fact that, okay, in New York City and Manhattan, 2 planes struck 2 buildings. We'll all be in agreement on that, I think. But how is it that a 3rd building fell 5 hours later? You know, what they call World Trade Center building number 7. And for people that think, well, it was just a smaller building, it was 51 stories high. How could this building just implode into its own footprint 5 hours later? That's my first question. The 9/11 Commission never even brought it up. They didn't devote even 1 page to that in their big volume of investigation.
Well, the answer is obvious. The government wanted to get away with one.
Yeah.
You dope.
Can you just maybe accept the fact that when 2 giant skyscrapers plummet right next to this building, that perhaps some damage is going to be done to it and it will fall down, and that a fire inside of it can weaken the structure, and that there isn't a precedent for this? That you can't look back and go, well, when 2 100-story towers come tumbling down right next to another building, in the past 15 times that's happened, that other building never fell. But this time it did. Wacky things happen. Things happen like that. And that makes more sense than any other theory. Go to the simplest thing. That's what you got to do. What you got to do first is eliminate the simple things. You ever see Sling Blade?
Oh, yeah.
Ever see when the guy's trying to fix the little lawnmower?
Sure.
And stupid Sling Blade there goes over and goes, it's out of gas.
Sometimes the simple answer is the answer.
Exactly.
Sometimes the obvious answer is just...
It's just it. People don't want to accept it. They don't want to believe it. They want this big conspiracy. They need it in order to just survive in this country. They need some kind of conspiracy. But no, you know what? Buildings fell down. There's a lot of crap flying all over the place. Some things hit other things, and the building fell down hours later.
And why would the government need to, knock down another building in that circumstance?
Yeah.
What would be the reasoning of that?
At that point, you got the 2 World Trade Center towers coming down. Let's really freak people out and get rid of this one no one really knows about.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 2. How could those buildings fall at the speed of gravity?
Oh.
You know, if you put a stopwatch on them, both of those World Trade Center buildings were on the ground in 10 seconds.
Were they?
How can that be? If you took a billiard ball and dropped it from the height of the World Trade Center in a vacuum, it would hit the ground in 9.3 seconds.
So I guess we were able to push the building down faster.
I guess so, yeah.
What is he getting at?
I don't know, because wouldn't it just fall at that speed anyway?
It was the hand of God just pushing down the building as fast as he could.
Whether it just falls down because planes hit it, or it is a controlled demolition, how would it fall faster than it could possibly fall?
It would fall the same way. You dummy.
I don't.
This guy really is coming on our show today.
Oh, my.
There is a mathematical formula, which I don't know what it's like, so-and-so's theorem,
right?
Which explains, it's got something
Dr. Kaku?
He would know, of course.
Of course he would.
It's got something to do with the rate of why. Somebody did explain it because they heard someone doing an explanation, and they're like, yeah, but you don't understand math because you don't know so-and-so's theorem, and they explained exactly what the propulsion was, and it made sense.
And then they cry and go, shut up! Gatekeeper. Yeah, we are the gatekeeper. The Illuminati.
I used to like this Jesse Ventura, too. He was pretty outrageous as a politician.
Let's give him a chance to explain himself, though.
Yeah, well,
explain himself. I mean,
and if you took that same billiard ball and dropped it 10 stories at a time
on your head,
merely stopped it and started it, it would take 30 seconds. If you dropped it every floor of the World Trade Center to the ground, simply stopping and starting it on gravity, it would take over 100 seconds to reach the ground.
Amazing. This idiot doesn't even, confront him with that dumb theory?
First of all, why would you do that to a billiard ball?
Exactly. And who
Amazing.
Who thinks the building is taking 100 seconds to fall?
I know it would take.
The building's falling. People are having lunch and then walking out of it.
It's like, we're on the first floor. We got plenty of time.
He's getting his knowledge from cartoons because that's how buildings and cartoons fall.
Yeah.
So what is he saying? That every floor had to have dynamite in it?
Yeah, I guess.
Oh,
I don't know what he's saying.
God.
I don't know what he's saying.
And yet they're telling us that, and I could go on now after studying it. The planes hit the building. Okay, jet fuel is 4/5 kerosene, which is not a hot-burning fuel. And they want us to believe that it melted these steel-structured girders and caused these buildings to pancake collapse to the ground.
All it took.
I was on the site within 2 weeks after it happened, and I saw none of these pancakes. Wouldn't they all be piled up in a huge mass on the ground? And yet everything was blown into dust.
I'm starving. Earl, we got any pancakes back there?
He's insane. He's insane. You know how much paper was in those buildings? Have you ever started a fire? You could get a fire burning pretty hot. And fooling around with a fireplace.
The whole melting of the metal thing is also another fallacy. The metal doesn't have to melt. It just had to be weakened enough. It had to be soft enough. Metal doesn't go from this solid to liquid form instantly. When you heat metal up, as everyone knows, heat, the molecules move faster, the substance gets softer, weaker. That's what happened. It didn't take it to be dripping molten metal. It just took it to be a little weaker, and that's all it took. The structure was damaged, the beams weakened, the building came down. Simple as that, gatekeeper.
You know, and when you look at it from that aspect, none of it makes any sense. If you apply common sense again to it,
what you're saying?
It does not make any sense. Never before in the annals of history has a fire caused a steel-structured building to fall to the ground.
Here it is.
No, I can't.
Never in the annals of history has a fire caused a steel building to fall down.
I can't wait to ask him. Then how was this accomplished?
Yeah.
With what, thousands and thousands of workers.
That's my argument all the time. We've seen so many shows. I've seen so many shows on demolitions of buildings. I enjoy watching it on Discovery. It's fun. It's educational. I like watching things fall down, especially old people cracking their hips.
Right.
Well, but how do you get a crew? You know what it takes? They show crews for weeks at least working on buildings. They got to strip it out. They got to drill holes in the cement structures. They got to plant dynamite in there. Yeah. They got to run cables, wires that are giant cables running out of the building. They put come-alongs and springs that pull the beams in towards each other. How do you do this while people are typing?
And how do you wire it all together to one little? kapooey thing.
To one
kapooey.
hitting kablammy thing.
Yeah.
The plunger thing that that Wile E. Coyote pushes down in it and cleverly.
Time for the kapooey.
I don't know
kapooey.
how, but the Roadrunner has taken the dynamite and moved it right behind the stupid coyote, and he never knows.
Well,
he hits the plunger. Also, the tragic ending of Tom from Tom and Jerry all the time.
Yes.
He does that constantly, blowing himself up with the plunger thingy.
Well, this is what Ventura thinks happened.
You've worked with explosives. What does it look like to you?
Another radio guy.
He's worked with explosives?
I got to stop our Jesse Ventura audio to point out another radio guy. Worked with explosives. Another man-cow like-sounding guy. Why talk in your normal voice?
Oh.
Thank you, Brother Weast. Thank you. He's out of work right now. He's the king of Rochester radio. I thank him for teaching me the best lesson ever in radio. Simply go on the air and use your regular voice. Yeah, I was radio guy back in the day.
Were you?
And then Brother Weast said he basically slapped me one day. Well, now that was more character-driven crap. But then he slapped me and said, "Just use your regular voice and you'll be ahead of everybody." Listen to this guy.
You've worked with explosives. What does it look like to you?
Well, upon looking at the film in super slow motion and the way the building fell and comparing that to the way that they do like a controlled demolition of a hotel in Las Vegas, they both fell identical. And it just is beyond me. And I kick myself for when it initially happened that the light didn't go off. But again, I was so shocked that this thing had even taken place that I apologize for not being more aware, but I don't think I was alone, as were most of the people in the United States.
Wow, even if they took me into the basement of the White House and said, all right, look, man, you're a pretty powerful person now, so we got to tell you what happened. Mm-hmm. You know, the Bill Burr bit, or who came up with that bit on the show? It's brilliant.
Well, Bill Burr is always saying that, so I'll just give him credit.
I think it might be Bill Burr, and they take you into the basement of the White House and go, look, it's true, look, and they prove it to me. That they show me all the paperwork, I would still not believe it.
Still go, come on, you couldn't pull that off.
Right.
I don't care what you did. Show me the Kennedy thing, how you got rid of him. Show me all the other fun stuff.
Right.
But no way in hell did you do that.
Jesse the Body Ventura. He seems like a pretty bright guy.
Well, I guess he was at some point.
Let's say hi to
Loved him in Predator.
Loved him.
Who didn't?
I loved him when he was doing the WWF stuff.
Yeah.
When he was the commentator, ringside.
Fantastic.
Had feuds with Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
Let's say hi to Nigel in Kentucky. Nigel.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hey.
Unless I'm severely mistaken, the guy with the radio voice is Alex Jones, a conspiracy theorist who has his own little show, and he delves into this topic often.
That's kind of, you can't blame him even. Because if you find a niche like that in radio where you're a conspiracy guy, that's kind of cool. You can sit there on the air and just kind of blurt out all this stuff because I'm sure it gets the phones ringing and, you can't even blame him.
Yeah.
Stupid radio voice.
Oh, no, I'm just blaming him for the radio. I saw what you have there.
It's a good gig. It's like, the hard right-wing, guys.
Oh.
You think they live their entire life like that? Come on. But they got a great gig going, so they do it.
Jimmy, give me your radio voice.
Ooh.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, that's a good one.
Jesse, what are you trying to say?
Well, Jesse, I think that's fantastic. It's very interesting.
I think you got to put a lot of olives in your mouth.
Now, if I had a cue ball in my mouth and I do.
So
Why do you think the government would do that?
Ooh, that's good, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that.
I see enough of these hacks when I'm on the road.
Do you?
I got a bright idea. I've been thinking about this for a while, and then listening to what was his name again? Alex what? Alex Jones interviewing Jesse Ventura.
With his radio voice.
Radio voice. Here on the Opie and Anthony Show, we pride ourselves in talking with our regular voices.
That's right, Opie.
Regular voices with all the stuttering.
That's how I'm talking today. Oh, how are you talking, Jimmy?
Talking like that.
And I'm going to talk like this.
These are our radio voices.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, no, I think they're going to use their radio voices today.
Bit over.
You think they're going to do it all morning? I don't know. I'll have to listen to after the break to find out. Okay, I'll listen too.
Oh, God.
I'm thinking the Radio Voice Hall of Fame bit.
Ooh.
E-Rock, you think you can handle that one? The Radio Hall of Fame voice?
You know, if it was March, we could do a bracket game on that.
Well,
Radio voice, guys.
We're thinking of doing April Craziness.
We got April Craziness going.
Yeah,
it's already halfway through April, but...
Oh, yeah, we're going to start that, I don't know, next week, halfway through April.
I think it's going to go into mayhem.
I like May.
We call it mayhem.
Radio Voice Hall of Fame. Who would you put on that voice on that list? There's a lot of guys that sound exactly the same. You got Mancow, Bubba the Love Sponge, Lycus, and this Alex Jones. They all have pretty much the same voice. Mm-hmm. The same voice on the radio. Who else would you put on that list, E-Rock?
E-Rock.
We need examples of all these guys. And you know what we can play? We could play Guess the Radio Voice.
Guess the Radio Douche.
It would be very tough to do because they really do sound alike.
Yeah.
Who else you got, E-Rock? All right, you're not ready.
Just kidding.
Why don't you just tell them to go to commercials then, E-Rock? Go. We got to get right back into this. It's the Opie and Anthony Show. Robert Kelly hanging with us today. His CD, Just a Tip, is out there and available for purchase.
Yeah.
And we also want to welcome Jesse Ventura to the Opie and Anthony Show. Hey, Jesse, how are you, sir?
Good. Opie, how are you doing today? Anthony, I'm doing very well.
Great.
Thank you. although I'm on West Coast time, so this is very early in the morning for me.
Oh, yeah.
It's very early if you're on East Coast time, too.
Okay.
We haven't gotten used to this whatsoever. The book's called Don't Start the Revolution Without Me in bookstores now.
So you on Larry King? And a lot of you make a lot of sense in a lot of stuff. I like your politics. I like your dislike of a lot of the politics that's going on right now.
Yeah, very much so. That's one of the reasons I wrote the book. And, it was very interesting because I had 2 New York Times bestsellers prior to this book. And so I didn't care about making money on this book. I didn't take a pittance for front money compared to before I got these big chunks of change to write the 2 previous books. But we took this when Dick Russell and we both lived down in the Baja, deep down in the Baja in Mexico, and we would meet once a week to work on the book. So we completed it all down there and brought it back here. I was turned down by 24 publishers.
Why is that?
Why?
And I don't know. I mean, I have 2 New York Times bestsellers, so you think I'd have some credibility.
Sure.
You can't answer why. They just turn you down. And so we finally found Skyhorse, which is a relatively new publishing company. But the good thing is they're affiliated with Norton Distribution, which is huge.
Oh, Jimmy's
Jimmy,
wow.
out of your condo.
But I mean, and that's the key. Once you're published, then you got to make sure you're with the right distributor so that you can get the book out.
Get the book out there, yeah.
And they're doing a great job right now, and we'll see what happens. Speaking of Larry King, I was stunned that night when he asked the question, "Should Jesse Ventura be running for president?" Mm-hmm. And he had 15,000 people respond. 88% said yes. 88. I figured if I'd get 60, that would be tremendous.
Well, was he implying you should, or he thought you were?
No.
Larry's
Larry's
really
a little
too
out
aware
of
of what's
it there,
going on.
Jesse.
No.
Aren't you president?
And no, I'm not running. I would have to sit down, and my wife, after 32 years, might leave me if I did. So,
well, the whole thing is, there seems to be this want for change from the people in this country, but it looks like business as usual. Even Obama is running on this campaign of change, yet it's still Washington politics. You're pretty extreme in your want and your the way you would execute a change in this country.
You mean common sense is now extreme?
So that's what I liked about what you had to say and what I was listening to. It sounds very sensible.
Yeah, well, I've always been a common sense person, and as much as Barack Obama talks change, he's still just another Democrat, and he will have his strings pulled by the Democratic Party. They're all puppets, and that's where I'm different.
Well, that's what I was listening to you saying. No party. You said that there shouldn't even be parties.
That's how I feel about it. I think you should run on who you are, and not on. I like to refer to them as the Crips and the Republicans.
They're the same as the Crips and Blood street gang, only these guys wear Brooks Brothers suits.
Yeah, you hate the two-party system, obviously.
Yeah, well, I hate the two parties because they have no credibility. If I can tell a story quickly, when I ran for mayor of Brooklyn Park, the sixth largest city in Minnesota, way back in 1990, it was a nonpartisan election, which means there's no party involvement because it's a local election, which many of them are. But yet the leaders of the Democratic and Republican parties sent a letter to every citizen of Brooklyn Park calling me the most dangerous man in the city. Well, I ended up winning the election, defeating the 25-year incumbent 67% to 33%.
Right.
2-1 to him. I won all 21 precincts, including the one he lived in. That's got to be a message. You can't even win with your neighbors. Well, here's the point I'm getting to. After I won that election, 2 weeks later, these two parties then came courting me independently to join them. Mm-hmm. And I said to them, but why would you want the most dangerous man in the city? You know, a month ago, you wrote letters to the people of Brooklyn Park, and now because I won, I'm now an important person who should be part of your party. You don't even care what I stand for. And that showed me clearly they have no credibility whatsoever.
Yeah, that's part of the Washington politics where they'll beat the crap out of each other. Yeah. Well, I'm talking about now with Obama and Hillary especially. Yeah. They will beat the crap out of each other until one of them becomes the candidate, and then the other one's going to hop on board and talk about how great they are. And where is the credibility? It's just
none. Yeah. With them, they have no credibility, these two parties. It's whether you can win and deliver a victory for them, right? And then will you stay in line with them? You know, march in their lockstep once you do get their nomination or go on to win as a part of their two parties.
Mm-hmm. You obviously have a passion for politics. Why did you get into it so late in your life?
I never really had a passion for it, and I never expected to get into it.
It seems like it came out of nowhere, though, because we obviously all know you from the wrestling and
you know, it was a new job. It actually started in that mayoral race. Right. I lived in a neighborhood that had a big, huge wetland, and they were going to give us concrete curb and gutter. And of course, when they gather water, they have to put it somewhere. Well, we were right next to the Mississippi River, and it was illegal for them to put this water into the Mississippi River. So they were going to all pump it into this wetland. And 400 of us in our neighborhood signed a petition to City Hall and took it up there saying that was unacceptable. Well, we were voted down 7-0. And I sat back and thought, I could have accepted 5-2 or 4-3. We couldn't convince one of these people, not one, 400 people. That's a lot for a neighborhood,
right?
In a smaller city. Mm-hmm. And so it was at that point I started paying attention to politics. And one day I was up there in an argument with them, and I was at the podium, because in city council meetings, they're the grunts. They got to look the people right in the eye. That's why as a mayor, I know what it's like to be on the grunt level of politics. And I looked at the council and I said, and the mayor, the 25-year incumbent, and I said, you're going to make me run against you, aren't you? And I didn't really want to do it, but his buddy up there started laughing and said, you can't win.
Oh, boy.
And no one tells me that, that I can't. I'm a Navy SEAL. We don't believe in the word can't. And so I knew when I walked out that night I was running for mayor, and I became the mayor. Then I did one term. Could have been reelected. I went back to the private sector for 4 years, and then I saw an injustice happening in Minnesota where we had huge budget surpluses, and these guys were spending it. Now, what this means is that they budgeted, but because the economy was so strong, their taxes brought in millions more dollars than what they budgeted for. They have no right to spend that money like kids in a candy store. So I started saying if I were the governor, I would give this money back to the people. It's not theirs, it's ours. Well, I kind of, as you know, on radio, your credibility is everything, and I kind of backed myself into a corner by saying if I'd have ran for governor, and so then I ended up having to run for governor and amazingly won.
Wow. Why no? Because it said here you in the back of the book it says you were one of the most highest approval ratings in history as Minnesota governor. Why did you not go again? I mean,
because again, I believe that one of our inherent problems today in government is the career politician.
Right.
I don't think our forefathers had in mind that people would make 35 and 40-year careers out of getting elected, and the incumbent has a huge advantage in getting reelected. So I choose to only do one term and then go back to what I used to do. Imagine that concept, serving. And when you're done serving, going back. I was one of 2 independent governors. A lot of people don't know that Angus King of Maine was a 2-term independent governor up in Maine. And ironically, Minnesota and Maine every year lead the nation in voter turnout. So if you offer a viable third-party candidate or a third candidate, you're going to get a much higher voter turnout. Well, Angus, after serving 8 years as mayor, the media charged up to him and said, "Governor, what's it going to be now? Congress, the Senate?" Angus looked down and said, "No, I'm going home." He said, I've spent 8 years. I got a lot of things at home that haven't been done, and I'm going back to do that. So, and the other reason, quickly, my wife's health. I didn't go public with this, but my wife contracted Epstein-Barr mono the moment I won governor, and it evolved into this chronic fatigue syndrome, and she paid hell for it. And I will say this, she means way more to me than holding any public office does. And so we've now been living in the Baja. Her health is completely back now. So, maybe I'm back now. But rest assured, if her health goes awry again, I've been married to her for 32 years, and she's the mother of my children. That's far more important to me than holding a political office, although I would say there are probably a few politicians that couldn't make that statement. By the way, I'm a statesman, not a politician. Statesmen come and serve and go back to what they used to do. Yeah. Politicians make it careers.
Well, that's why you barely get any change. It's business as usual. It's the same people in there doing the same thing. There's no new ideas coming in because there's no new people with fresh new ideas. It really is tragic. I want to know some of your stances on some popular and unpopular issues going on. The war. How do you feel about that?
I've opposed the Iraq war since before it happened, and I'll tell you my personal reasons for it. My father was a World War II veteran. My mother was a World War II veteran. She was a nurse in North Africa. My brother's a Vietnam veteran, as am I. I never believed that I would ever see my country line up our military at the border of another sovereign nation, regardless of a dictatorship. There's dozens of them out there. And we would invade that country, overthrow that government, and occupy it. That's what the Nazis did. That's what the communists did. And now we've done it. And I can't hold my country on a pedestal anymore because of George W. Bush. He is the orchestrator of this folly. He was a Vietnam draft dodger along with Cheney. I like to refer to them as chicken hawks. They were chicken when it was their time to go fight, and now they're hawks. And his National Guard service, if I would have served in the manner that he did, not showing up for duty station, allowing your flight physical to lapse by not showing up for it and losing your flight status of being a pilot, and all the things that he did, he dishonors my honorable discharge, because I do not believe I would have gotten an honorable discharge if I would have served in the manner that he did. He deserved only a general discharge, not an honorable one. When he took off and went to Harvard Business School, he was supposed to report to the National Guard unit up in Boston. He never did. That's an unauthorized absence. You get court-martialed for that generally.
Now, you didn't fall for the thing. A lot of people were bamboozled by the weapons of mass destruction, and that was the reason we were going in. Because I got to be honest with you, at the beginning of the war, everybody was frothing at the mouth looking at this evidence on television and going, hey, if this guy's got all this stuff, maybe we do have to step in here, and he is a threat to national security and world security, the stability of the area. And then when we found out that this was all crap, all of a sudden the war took on this other thing of we must free these people. And again, the dictatorship, I don't care. If the people get aggravated enough at their leaders, there's supposed to be a revolution. This is the way it works, not some other country swooping in to put our values on people that don't really want. If you want freedom, you'll fight and die for it.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, why was there a rush to war? He had no delivery mechanism, even if he had weapons of mass destruction. You have to have a delivery mechanism to get him here. You think Saddam Hussein had rockets that could reach the United States? Absolutely not.
We were keeping a close eye on him.
And if he certainly could reach anyone else like Israel, if he tried, you think the Israelis wouldn't respond? Guess again.
Yeah.
You know, the point was, what was the rush to war? The inspectors, he said he'd let them back in again. Why couldn't we wait 4 or 5 months for these inspectors to do their job? But it was like, oh no, we got to get in there before the inspectors get in there. There was this rush to war to get in there, you know, and like Richard Clark, the only honest guy who in front of the 9/11 Commission, the only one who apologized for 9/11. Like he said, the day after, they were talking Iraq. Remember that? And he was saying, but it was Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, and they were saying, no, get us Iraq.
Right.
See, this was all a planned operation, you know, from top to bottom. And I'll tell you quite honestly now, I have my doubts about 9/11.
Now that brings us there. We listened to some clips of you talking.
Can we take a break because we're really late, and we'll pick it up with the 9/11 stuff? Because, like Ann said, we start our show because we found that really interesting, and we definitely don't agree with you. But I want to get into this and see.
Well, we'll see what.
Let's have some fun with that,
and we'll see how you counter. My point is, why is?
No, stop.
All right.
After the break, trust me. We'll give you the floor.
How about please stop? Just stop.
Yeah.
6'8" is a Navy SEAL. If you'd like to stop, we'd appreciate it.
It's just a good.
Stop.
Go ahead.
Stay seated.
It's a good place.
I understand.
I understand you would.
No, you got to go to the break. Put the show on. Go ahead.
All right. The book is called Don't Start the Revolution Without Me. It's Jesse Ventura. When we come back, we're going to talk about 9/11 big time. So stay there. Opie and Anthony. Got to get right back into this. The Opie and Anthony Show. We got Jesse Ventura in studio. Very interesting guest, by the way.
Oh, he's great.
The book is Don't Start the Revolution Without Me. It's in bookstores and on Amazon.com right now as we speak.
And a couple of quick signings if you want to meet Jesse and get your book signed. Today's the 8th. I believe the 10th. He's going to be in New Jersey at Bookends Bookstore. It's a great independent bookstore in Ridgewood, New Jersey. It's really close to New York. And then April 11th, he will be at the Barnes & Noble on Route 3 in Clifton, also fairly accessible from New York City. That's at 7:30 p.m. on April 11th, and the Bookends in Jersey, 6:30 on the 10th.
No book signings in New York City?
Don't ask me.
That's a little weird.
That's beyond me. You got to talk to the publishers and all that stuff. I just go where I'm told.
I think they're scared of you. They're scared of Jesse Ventura.
He said none were available. Like a lot of the bookstores were saying nothing was available, so maybe they're feeling that this is
they're scared.
Problem. I don't know.
They don't want to touch this project for some reason, which makes me want to read this book even more.
Yeah, well,
so the 9/11 thing. Where do we start with this?
Well, first of all, let's start with the fact that why our president would stonewall any investigation for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do that? I was an elected official. If something like that would have happened on my watch, I would welcome the investigation immediately so that we could learn from it and hopefully be able to stop it from ever happening again. Why would our president, the only reason he finally agreed to it was the fact that the survivors of it, the relatives, put so much political pressure that they had to finally succumb to the pressure. So why would he do that?
I think there was this feeling of, we must protect national security. There are secrets that need to be kept. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but anytime you have a big event, there seems to be...
Or anytime they want to cover up something, they throw it into national security, which means we're not allowed to see it.
That too. But now the problem I have with this 9/11 conspiracy...
Wait.
And
let me lead for a moment on this. Why is it that...
You're bigger. You're an ex-Navy SEAL. Go ahead.
Well,
Okay.
no. Why is it that if you simply bring it up and you have questions, you're immediately attacked? Your credibility, not you guys. Not you guys. Your credibility's attacked. They attack you and call you a conspiracy theorist. Okay, the government's is just a conspiracy theory too. There's no proof to what they've told us. Now, what they want us to believe and what they've sold us is that 19 Islamic radical terrorists came to this country armed with box cutters. And they defeated our multi-billion-dollar air defense system, all while taking orders from a bearded guy in a cave in Afghanistan.
Now that's
when you phrase it like that, it sounds
oversimplified
ludicrous.
version. I'll tell you what.
That oversimplified. Yeah, that's what they told us.
It's very oversimplified.
That is what happened.
I think what happened. Yes, box cutters. Now, in this day and age, if someone pulls a box cutter out on a plane, he's going to get his ass handed to him by the entire group of passengers. The weapon they had was hope. That was their weapon. The hope that they were going to land safely and let's just leave these guys alone because it was an unprecedented event. That's why people didn't take action. That's why just a few Islamics with box cutters were able to fly these planes into buildings. Why can't that be accepted as we were hated? We still are around the world.
All right.
And these people decided.
Okay. All right. Now,
okay.
Wait, Jesse,
right.
before you
now,
answer, one thing he forgot.
What?
And they had this from phone calls. From people,
yeah, the phone calls that don't work from that high.
Right, but they were a lot lower when they were coming to the buildings.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Was that
always make it convenient answer here?
Well, that's accurate. Yeah.
Okay.
They weren't at 30,000 feet.
It's
the bottom line. They thought they had bombs. I'm saying that's another thing is they thought they were going to.
How come we couldn't find the black boxes? The two black boxes, the indestructible black boxes that you could. They've had planes fly into. Mountains, and they find the black boxes. Yet the two that hit the trade centers, those convenient black boxes, could never be located.
Did they also find no computer monitors or any of that stuff?
Wait a minute. These are indestructible. They're designed to survive a crash.
Right.
Yet they found supposedly the paper passport of one of the hijackers. That conveniently they could find that, but not the black boxes.
I would never say there's not huge inconsistencies.
All right. Okay. Now let's go on. Let's go on to the strikes themselves. Explain to me how these buildings could fall at the rate of gravity.
How they could fall at the rate of gravity?
Yeah. If you took a billiard ball and dropped it in a vacuum, it would hit the ground in 9.3 seconds from that height. These buildings were down in 10.
So what?
Now, wait a minute. Go to physics for a moment. You've got a moving object hitting one that's not. They're telling us they pancaked all the way to the ground. What, with no resistance?
But they also had...
There was no resistance at all.
There's also something with the building's design where they kind of bowed out like a bow because of the way the buildings were designed. I mean, there was like a... Picture two bows being kind of bent out, so things are just falling through. And there was also, I heard this argument made, and
the building design.
There's a formula which explains
the building
why.
was designed to withstand a 707, which is a bigger plane.
Right. But first of all, and all these things that you're saying, like the fact that this
all I'm doing is asking questions.
I know, but I'm saying that we're trying to give some kind of common sense answers, and we give a common sense answer. You're like, well, that's because every answer you have is convenient. They weren't at 30,000 feet making those phone calls, and if this blithering idiot government could pull off this massive conspiracy, why do you do it with airplanes? Why don't you just? I mean, if they could go through all this. Why don't you just park two trucks in the basement like was done in '93 and do it that way? A, you kill more people. B, you remove the nonsensical, the equation of the airplanes, all the phone calls that were made to loved ones. There's Arabs on the plane.
Yeah, and you know, some of those neat phone calls that were made, did you ever call your mom and use your last name? Some of the calls, the last name was, "Hi, Mom, this is..." And they used their last name.
So what's the explanation to that?
That's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Those are small things. Let's talk
about...
Maybe
they were doing that to leave a final record of themselves.
Let's talk about the plane fuel. It's 4/5 kerosene. Plane fuel. Doesn't burn hot. Kerosene. Now, if you use a burner when you go camping, you use propane. That burns way hotter than kerosene. So by using their logic... if I turn my propane camp stove on for like 4 hours with the flames, shouldn't the grates melt? But they don't, do they? Yet they have us believing that kerosene could melt I-beam construction steel in a building.
It just softened it.
Wait. And the smoke got continually darker. Now, any fireman will tell you that when smoke gets continually darker, it's because of lack of oxygen, which means the fires were cooling,
then why don't
not getting hotter.
Firemen don't agree with you. Firemen think that what happened.
A lot of firemen agree with me.
I've never met one. We've had a tremendous amount of cops listen to this show. I've never met a fireman that thought that.
All right.
Ever.
All right. Getting back to the original thing, why, if you bring up questions on this, are you attacked?
No one's attacking you. We're bringing up questions.
You.
But we're bringing up questions,
you know what?
too. We're bringing up questions, too. You're not answering the questions.
I'll answer you.
I don't have the answers. I'm not saying that I do.
I'll let you know why.
Nobody's given me an adequate answer on. And okay, now I realize that the world probably knows more about demolition than I do. Even though I spent 4 years as a member of the Navy underwater demolition team, and I was trained by Chief Warrant Officer Casey, who I consider the greatest demo man on the planet. But yet don't judge me to have any knowledge of demolition.
But then don't you know that what it takes to bring down a building in a controlled blast, the preparation work, the time, the stripping of the building, the pulling of beams with come-alongs. How do you do that in an office building?
Okay, all your 4 main structured beams were severed perfectly towards the inside. That's what you do with a shape charge so it doesn't blow up outside.
Now, where did this happen?
Right in those buildings.
But how do they get it done without anyone noticing the work that was being done?
Well, if you check on it, you'll find out that there were floors shut down weeks prior to for maintenance work where people were told not to come into work that day because they couldn't get to their floor that day. Maintenance was going on. My next point is this. How do 2 planes drop 3 buildings? World Trade Center Building 7, 51 stories high. Have you ever seen the tape of it?
Oh,
It imploded into its own footprint.
I did.
Now, they tell us that happened from debris hitting it.
When 2 100-story buildings fall, you're going to get unprecedented debris.
Yeah, powdered debris. Explain that to me, too. Why, when they fell, was all the cement blown to dust? It was powder. Remember the massive powder? Wouldn't it come down in big chunks?
It did come down.
There were some of the upper part.
It did. Yeah. Where did all this powder come from then? All this powder, and look.
Maybe what was inside.
That was cement. The way the towers were built, obviously the metal outer structure, and then the inner structure was the cement floors. Those powdered. The metal structures went out. If you watch the tapes, you can see them peeling like a banana peel out to the sides. That debris wrecked a lot of the buildings down there. It made one of them look like it had a claw mark right down the.
I was there a week after it.
Yeah, I was too.
We all were.
But I mean, I walked the site when they had it all.
So did we.
Good. All right.
We got the inside scoop from NYPD.
Then here's another question I have. How could there be molten metal then under the building which stopped the digging? Because they said that they couldn't dig in certain spots because of molten metal.
Still fires burning?
Yeah. If the fires happened way up 100 floors in the air, how could there be molten metal down below?
Well, wasn't there a blowout from, first of all, when the buildings fell, I imagine the fire didn't stay up there in midair. And also...
they were brutal fires because never before has a fire dropped a steel structure building in the annals of history.
But also we never had an explosion like that to watch in an office building that was constructed like that.
And also remember,
to answer your question, hold on, about the fire in the bottom, it was also alleged. Didn't you see the footage that was made by those French documentary guys? There was fire down in the basement because the engine and stuff came down through the elevator shaft.
There were a lot of flammable materials.
The only problem was the elevator shafts were sealed. They always are. So the fire's not going to go down the shafts.
No, but the flaming engine or flaming pieces of plane wreckage.
A lot of fuel went down there too.
Yeah.
Really, I think most of the fuel went on the initial contact. When you saw that huge explosion, there went all your fuel. What have you said? You know, you're getting like Hollywood. You never run out of bullets.
No, it's
in Hollywood, when you have a gunfight, isn't it neat how they never run out of bullets? Where in reality, you got to carry it all yourself.
But Jesse, what about the path of least resistance? What about looking at this as an objective person and saying there were extremists that despise us as a country? Whether their reasons are valid or not, I'm not even getting into that. Right. But they despise us as a country. They came up with a great plan and kicked our ass.
Yes, they defeated our multi-billion-dollar
Yes, they did.
They did. Unfortunately.
Okay. Time out now. Now, I'm going to ask this question.
Okay.
In my line of work in the Navy and the SEALs, you're not given the opportunity to fail. Right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. 9/11, 4,000 people died that day. If you recall a few months ago, do you remember when they moved those nuclear warheads from North Dakota down to like Louisiana, whatever it was, and they violated a bunch of security stuff? Well, I read 2 weeks later, 70 people lost their jobs over that. Now, with this huge, massive failure of our air defense system, Why was no one fired?
Because the people who allowed it to happen, unfortunately, were the captains who opened the door and got their throats cut. Did they really violate the air defense system?
But they were
commercial airliners.
Time.
No, you can't. No. They were commercial airliners.
Wait.
How did they violate the air defense system?
Simple. Because you remember when Payne Stewart died, the golfer?
Yes.
He took off from Florida in a private jet, not even a public one, a private jet. They lost contact with him. Within 20 minutes, they had a fighter jet up on the wing. The fighter pilot looked inside, saw them all slumped over, couldn't raise them, and said, I believe they're all dead, stayed with them till they went up into Dakota or whatever. Had they gonna hit Omaha, he'd have blasted them out of the air, but they didn't. They went down in a field. Here's the failure. You had 4 commercial airliners all hijacked an hour apart, and not one of our jets ever made it up into the air. Not one jet got up there. That is a massive failure, and you can try to out-yell me
but
and do
I'm
all
just
that
trying
you
to
want.
answer you.
There is your failure.
It's not out-yelling you, but you ask
failure.
a question. You throw a question out, and I try to answer it or at least speculate, and then you go, oh, okay, time, and you just barrel over it. It's like, that's not right. We can all just ask questions that don't have an answer to them. I don't know why nobody was fired, but because I don't know who was fired or why they weren't fired, that does not mean that the government set up 9/11 and I didn't see what I thought I saw.
Jim, the reason why they weren't fired. I know why they weren't fired. You don't know why they weren't fired. I know why they weren't fired. They weren't. I actually talked to an American airline pilot 2 days after it happened, and it was protocol. They had to negotiate with terrorists. Anybody who's going to take over the plane, they had to go out and talk to them and try to negotiate to get the plane down and to keep everybody safe. That's what they were supposed to do. They weren't. Now it's lock the door. Nobody gets in. We drop the plane.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about our air defense.
Our air defense, right. Why weren't there?
Up there? Where were they? They totally and 70 people lost their jobs or were demoted over this little spectacle in North Dakota. This one, nobody lost their job. Why? Well, if you start firing people, then there's going to be investigations, aren't there? But if you don't fire anybody, business as usual, everything moves right along.
So you think that the supervisors knew that commercial airliners were by our government, were being flown into buildings through this whole thing, or just...
But they knew they were hijacked. I've been there.
So why didn't...
I've been there, and I've watched air controllers. Every plane in America has people watching it at every second. These planes went out and made U-turns over Ohio and all that and started heading back this way. Where was the bells? Well, all they got to do is say, we got a plane that's way off course.
First of all, there was no thing, we're hijacking this plane.
Well, wait a minute. No one could believe it because we were all doing war ops up in Alaska at that time.
The air traffic controllers couldn't believe the flight pattern. They didn't know exactly what was happening. No one said, this is a hijacked plane. This is what we want. So all they did was they lost communication with pilots. They saw them flying erratically, and then all of a sudden one hits the building, and then X amount of minutes later, the other one hits the building.
An hour later.
Okay, whatever. But what does that mean? An hour later? So what does that mean? What do you think happened?
That means that somebody had people standing down.
That's JFK, Oliver Stone terminology. But I'm saying to stand down. So the government called the military.
Have you been in the military?
No. But I'm asking
you. Have you been in the military?
And I'm telling you no.
Okay, then you don't know.
But I know stand down is a real term. But I'm saying that was from the movie JFK. Someone said stand down. So do you really think someone called and said stand down? You can't keep a secret between 10 people, but all of a sudden, this massive thing that killed 4,000 citizens, everyone's willing to keep quiet about.
No. I'll counter that with you by saying, what was Adolf Hitler's greatest quote? The bigger the lie, the easier the sell.
That's great, but that is not relevant to this.
Oh, it isn't.
No, it's not.
So if this isn't a lie.
You couldn't keep tailhook. What was the one with the sexual scandal? Nothing is kept quiet. Adolf Hitler didn't have the internet working against him. Adolf Hitler didn't have digital cameras. You couldn't keep Abu Ghraib quiet. Abu Ghraib brought down the whole thing because of the digital camera was sent over the internet. The times are different. The information is transferred differently than it was back then with Hitler. That's not an accurate.
It would be very difficult to keep something this magnitude quiet. There's so many people that would have to be involved. What about on the local level? What about the Air National Guard at the local level? That it doesn't go all the way up to the top.
Yes,
the conspirators.
No, yes,
that
it
do
does.
that, and they say don't. They say don't follow these planes or don't even Don't even take off.
Okay, let's say you guys are correct and it's all real. Still, somebody should have been fired.
Okay, I'm not going to argue that. Maybe you're right.
If what you're telling me is all real, someone should have still lost their job.
Do you think...
Because our multi-billion-dollar air defense system failed miserably.
Do you think it's reasonable to assume people weren't fired because the focus, and I'm not saying this is right either, but this is a little more acceptable to me, that the focus wasn't to be put on people that effed up here in this country, but the focus was to be put on the Islamic militant fanatics that did this to us.
Yeah.
Instead, why sit around and start firing and blaming people for our lack of security when the focal point is the hatred that these people had for us?
And you know what? I remember back, and how old are you?
44.
Okay, you're a little light, but I remember back when I was
trying to get laid by younger women here.
When I was a young teenager, and they told me Lyndon Johnson got on television and said our boys are floating in the water. I remember when they told us about the Gulf of Tonkin incident, where they told us that North Vietnam had fired upon 2 of our ships, and that was the declaration of war that got us into the Vietnam War. Now, a couple years ago, I was teaching at Harvard, and McNamara, who was, I believe, Secretary of State or one of them at that time, he's now going around with the new film, The Fog of War, and he's admitted the Gulf of Tonkin incident never happened. Now, 58,000 of my generation were killed in Vietnam over an incident that was made up. It never happened. Now, do you think that, do you now understand why maybe I don't trust my government?
Yes. No one is saying that the government should be trusted blindly, and no one is saying that they're not garbage on almost every level. I'm talking about this, and it's not
some
blind trust. But you're a common sense guy, right? You're a common sense guy.
Yeah.
And yet, common sense, if they were going to do this, I mean, why not consider it? Why would you go through all of the possible things that could go wrong? Instead, if you can get people out of their offices and do all this and plant these, why wouldn't you just go through the basement and do it properly and kill a tremendous amount more people? And then it's just a little bit easier. Why go through all of the nonsense and the voice mechanisms that cover people calling their relatives and all of the possible ways for a snafu to occur, as opposed to 2 massively loaded, properly wired trucks in each basement? You take one building down, you take the other building down, they fall completely into New York City, you kill a lot more people, and there's no planes to deal with. There's no air defense to deal with. I mean, as a common sense guy, and if you're that, by the way, if the government is that effective at doing all this stuff, how could they not? They left Colin Powell swinging in the wind, looking like a moron, saying there's uranium. I mean, how would they allow such an obvious one to go on?
I don't know. All I can say is that, and I have no background that you guys have, certainly, as a Navy SEAL.
No, that's not that's not a valid thing.
Wait a minute.
No,
he is a SEAL.
I'm not saying that.
Let me finish. Do you remember Iran-Contra?
No, I was too busy just being a dummy who ran around not knowing anything about the military. What is that? Was that a good thing? Did our government do good?
That actually
no.
Iran-Contra. I don't know. Is that a guy's name? Is he a movie star?
Well, hey, you're comedy too. But
yes, that's what I do.
If you'll let me finish.
But I know you're a Navy SEAL.
I'm answering your question.
But you're not. You're saying I'm not a Navy SEAL. What's that got to do with it? You're pointing out that I'm not Navy SEAL. I know that.
I'm not talking to you. You know Iran-Contra?
Yes.
All right.
No, he doesn't.
You're telling me that everybody knows, right? Well, I had a good friend of mine that I served with in the SEAL team who came back as an officer. He ended up on SEAL Team 6 with Dick Marcinko, the anti-terrorist SEAL unit, right? Mm-hmm. He was sitting at home watching television when Iran-Contra broke, and he perked up and said, wow, I was part of that. See, everything is compartmentalized in the government. A doesn't know what B's always doing because you're given an order, and you're given an order, okay, you're going to take this from point A to point B. That's all you know.
You know what?
You don't know the big picture.
Okay.
You're just operational, at operational level, doing things that you're made to do. And
I understand.
I'm just saying that this gentleman was a member of SEAL Team 6. It was part of Iran. He had no idea he was part of Arms for Hostages. He was given a job to deliver something from point A to point B, and then when it broke, he then went, wow, I was part of that. Would he then admit to that? No, he wouldn't.
Let me tell you the difference.
Regular people, because it was an illegal activity,
right.
And if he admitted to that, he possibly could have faced charges.
Let me tell you the big difference, though, and I'm
sure you will.
Your military experience does come into play when you're talking about things like the Gulf of Tonkin. Yes, and Iran-Contra. Absolutely. I'll agree with that. But those two incidents also were completely military. Completely military, which, if you ask me, it's a lot easier to deal with and keep quiet than airliners that are full of civilians. You got to bring in terrorists.
Who would
you have
admit
to have
to it. It's mass murder. Someone's going to admit to being
somebody would talk about it.
It's when you start involving massive amounts of civilians
you guys
and
right.
commercial aircraft.
You've won me over.
We weren't trying to win you over.
You've won me over.
But you won't address you ran right over the possible as a common sense guy, and you are a common sense dude.
No, I'm not. I'm a radical.
You won't look at why they wouldn't go through the basement. That's a valid question. You're asking a lot of questions, and I'm asking a common sense question.
I can't answer why.
Doesn't that, as a smart guy, make any sense?
Sure.
Why wouldn't they?
It's other options.
But it's an option that was very hard to do.
And you're now telling me that they should have done it this way, even though they were successful the way they did do it?
I don't. Because
then why would they have to do it your way
because I don't
when
think
they were already successful?
Come on, now that's
my
cheating.
Way.
I don't think they were successful because I don't believe it happened. So I'm playing the same game. I'm being speculative.
It did happen.
Why can't you believe it was just terrorists?
I can.
Oh, you can.
But I believe we were complacent.
Yeah, okay.
Complacent. I believe we were ignorant. I believe we were complacent. I believe we were careless. I believe we thought we were untouchable.
It could be beyond that.
I don't believe.
You don't believe that, like the Gulf of Tonkin incident that we would orchestrate? You don't believe the Ruckstag fire back in Germany where the Nazis blamed the communists to get the country in an uproar to go to war? And then later they found out that it was the Nazis who did it.
What's the end game? What's the end game of the government thing? What did we want?
The end game is controlling the oil in the Middle East.
So we wanted to go into the Middle East. Don't you think it would have been a lot simpler to come up with some weapons of mass destruction? And how about we put a few of them thousands of miles away from the media and everything else and say, look what we found. Here's our reason to go in. We had him under sanctions for years. We were still flying over his country and not allowing planes to fly there. We could have done anything we wanted and said he did anything we said he did to get our people into Iraq. Yet this huge scheme has to come out.
Yeah, you're right.
Where we kill civilians.
Anthony, you needed everybody. Anthony, you needed the whole country behind them.
You're
Democrats,
right.
Republicans.
We loved beating up Iraq. Who didn't love Gulf War I? It was like The Godfather. I wanted part two.
No, after September 11th,
you didn't like
you're
the
wrong.
first one.
You're wrong,
no.
Anthony.
Where they invaded Kuwait.
I'm
not saying on a political level.
Which Kuwait used to be part of Iraq and it was cut out and made it into its own country.
So you believe Saddam was entitled to annex Kuwait?
You know, I got plenty of weird things.
Not that I care. I could care less.
Well, I also, believe the Pilgrims didn't have visas. and now we require them.
Okay, fair enough.
Wait, are you for open borders?
Yeah.
Wow, you are crazy. Jesus Christ. Jesse, how can the hell can... That's for living down in Baja.
No. I don't prefer living in East Berlin. Clearly, you guys like East Berlin.
Yeah, because in East Berlin, you can come and go as you please. It's the same thing as being here.
And
because
put a big
we want our borders
fence
kind
around
of
our
closed.
country, and we're the epitome of freedom, and yet our country is the most difficult country to travel in now.
After September 11th, yes.
We're supposed to be the country of freedom.
And we were, and 19 guys came in because, and this is the problem with the communication, and you're right.
And they came in from
the
where?
CIA,
they came
probably
in
through
via Canada,
yeah.
so we're putting a fence on Mexico. Hey!
That
seems logical.
Well, with a lot of terrorists
I'll agree with you there.
That seems logical
I'll
as
agree
hell.
with you there.
Let's build a fence at Mexico, even though they came in from Canada. Well, that'll stop them next time.
Well, I don't think
we'll build a fence at Mexico.
Yeah, look. All right. A good point. Good point. That's a dumb thing.
It is hypocritical.
That doesn't explain, and you're right about so many things about the government being dirty, but all of that doesn't explain how this
You're right.
government...
You've convinced me. It's everything that the government told me. No, I'm agreeing with you. It's everything they've told us. I shouldn't even ask a question.
But no one's saying. Why do you say no one's saying you ask a question?
I'm agreeing with you. Why are you fighting with me?
No, you're
I
not.
sense a little sarcasm.
You've convinced me.
All right, good.
You've convinced me.
We're good at sarcasm.
That my government would never lie to me. My government.
Oh, now you're being silly, Jess.
I'm not.
Jess, you're being a goose.
My country, right or wrong?
Absolutely, it certainly is.
You know
and they
what?
did
Wait
the
a
voice
minute.
tracking. No,
wait a minute. You know what you guys need to listen
but I
to?
waited.
Okay. Who said the quote, dissension is the greatest form of patriotism?
Bush in the planning room when he was going, and you do the voice tracking that makes their own families think it's them.
Yeah, I'm not stupid.
No, me too, because I think the government's always right, and they never
I'll
lie.
ask you a legitimate question.
I've been asking it to you, too, and you keep telling me I'm not a Navy SEAL. I don't know, obviously, or I would tell you. I would love to be able to just shut you down with a brilliant answer, but I don't know. Who said that quote? I don't know.
Jesse Ventura.
Doesn't matter. You tell. You're fine.
But I don't know who said the quote. I'm admitting it. You convinced me. I don't know who said the quote.
Jesse, why are you getting so frustrated?
I'm not. I don't get frustrated. You'll learn something about us that in my unit. We don't get mad. We get even.
Jesus Christ, we're all getting our throats slit tonight.
And always remember, you have to sleep sometimes.
Oh, Jesus.
Especially you.
You can't slice Jimmy's neck. You don't know where it is. You'll hit his chin.
Good luck finding my chin. Well, you've asked questions and I've asked questions. I mean, it's like, why is it that when you're asking questions that are speculative and I ask a question, you get angry? Why are you getting angry?
Why are you moving the microphone?
I'm not angry. I'm listening.
Well,
no, you just moved the microphone.
Because I have nothing to say. I'm listening.
He's convinced. We finally flipped him. We got him.
I don't think I've convinced you, but I do think there are some valid points that you're thinking of. I'm sure you're not convinced.
No, you've convinced me.
But no one is saying the government's always honest. No one
yes,
is
they
saying
are.
That.
No.
My country, right or wrong?
No, not black or white here. We're not talking.
No
There's a gray area, but I think you're way over to one side of this gray area now, and we're on the other side. I think we can agree that our government has been dishonest in the past. Absolutely, it's been proven. But to use that as some kind of cornerstone to this conspiracy theory on 9/11 doesn't make sense. It's
like back when I grew up in the 60s, the only type of assassinations were all lone nuts. There was never, ever another person involved in any of the assassinations of the 60s. You had a lone nut kill JFK. You had a lone nut kill Martin Luther King. You had a lone nut kill Robert F. Kennedy.
And Malcolm X.
Yeah, another lone nut.
Well, couple
lone nuts. No, that was a conspiracy because there was more than one. The others were simply single, all of them single.
What about the lone nut that tried to kill Gerald Ford, Squeaky Fromm? What about the lone nut that tried to kill Reagan?
Wait. There were two. Sandra Good was with her, so that was more than one.
She had the gun.
That was more than one.
All right, Hinckley.
What about Hinckley?
Yeah,
there's
never been what about Caesar?
You're going back a little bit.
What did Castro say to you about JFK? Caesar? What did Castro say to you about JFK?
Castro told me that it was an inside job. He said that Oswald could not make the shots. He said that the Russians did not want Kennedy dead at that time because he was very close to them. And in fact, their quote to him about Kennedy was, "You can talk to this man." Mm-hmm. He said he didn't do it because he said, "Do I look suicidal?" He said, "I love my country very much, and if I would have did it, my country would have been wiped off the face of the earth." He also told me that at the time that it happened, that Kennedy had sent a writer from Paris named Jean Daniel to meet with Castro, and Daniel was setting up a secret meeting between the two of them, and Castro felt very strong that Kennedy may change the policy of the United States towards Cuba. And but this is naturally only Fidel's version of it. And had Kennedy done that, I'm sure there would have been a lot of angry people in this country who still believe that we should have this policy. I find it very interesting that we will trade unlimited with China, who is communist.
I agree with this wholeheartedly.
And yet Cuba, we don't, but I know the answer.
What?
Well, the answer is truly very simple. When Castro came in, he threw out all of our corporations. China's welcoming our corporations. So there's your example. If you welcome corporate America will wheel and deal with you all you want. But if you don't welcome corporate America, then you get, boycotted.
Yeah, I think China's human rights record is abysmal. It's just, and why we have any kind of relationship with them is beyond me. I think the Cuban problem also is the fact that they're just holding a grudge against Fidel. I think there's an actual grudge that, this guy was the last communist holdout.
I can't believe our country would do that.
I could.
Our country.
Absolutely not.
Us.
I could.
We would never hold a grudge.
No, sir, we're perfect. We don't ever tell lies. Apple pie and baseball, ladies and germs, because that's what I believe.
That's right.
That's what I believe. It's all juggling and smiles, and Mom pecks you on the cheek. I don't think they ever did nothing wrong. No, sorry, Bob.
I agree with you.
They're terrific.
We have to take a break.
George Bush won fair and square.
I think we have to agree to disagree on this one.
Yeah, we might have to.
No, you've convinced me. I won't ask
we don't think we know sarcasm, sir.
I won't ask another question about it. I got it straight right here.
Neither will I.
I'm fine.
That's right. If you're going to ask the question, though, just remember basement. Why not the basement? That's a good question to ask. And why not?
I guess you're an experienced guy that would know that.
Not just common sense. Like you said, you use common sense. And I ain't no Navy SEAL, but I have common sense, too. And it does tell that if you're going to go through 500 steps...
I can look at you and know you're not a Navy
small,
SEAL.
wimpy guy. Small, wimpy guy. But you know what we're good for? Using our heads. You know, while I was sitting around just being an overfed little fat boy, I used my head. And I thought common sense things all day.
Yeah.
Well, he kind of looks like a seal. If you look at him,
Looks like a seal.
If you throw a ball, he'll actually bounce it on his nose.
All right, listen. The book is
Bobby piling on.
What are you gonna do? I don't want to get beat up.
The book is Don't Start the Revolution Without Me. It leads off following your life as the governor of Minnesota and his decisions to leave politics after his first term, right?
Not really. The book is about.
All right. Well,
summarize it.
You're somewhat right.
I finally talked the first time in 20 minutes.
But the actual book is
one thing is wrong.
I take you on a trip with me from Minneapolis down to the Baja.
There you go. Okay.
And then along the way, of course, I
do we have to talk?
Things and whatever, you know. But it just leads me into many political things that I think about on a daily basis. That. You know, about our country and all that stuff, and you really need to understand, too, guys, that I'm not very patriotic. My mother was a World War II vet, my father was a World War II vet, and my brother and I are Vietnam vets, but we're not a patriot.
I think blind patriotism is one of the most dangerous things ever. Absolutely. And I don't agree or believe everything the government throws out at us. But there are certain things that I think can be looked at with common sense and using your own head. And that's where I stand on the whole thing. Jesse, you're a very interesting guy. Love having you on the show. I love when Jimmy gets so impassioned because
we don't agree on something.
This will bug the crap out of him for weeks, and anything that bothers Jimmy, we love.
He's won me over, man.
Right.
With his common sense and his knowledge of everything. And,
you won me over too. I mean, look, something happened in 1960, and that's exactly the same thing that happened in 2001. I mean, I can agree with that.
Well, remember, history repeats itself quite often.
Absolutely.
If you ever tried reading.
No, I don't read at all. I don't read.
Then you'd know.
I watch TV, and they tell me what's going on, and I go, well, that's that.
There you go.
That's what I do.
Oh, my God.
I don't write neither. I got a crayon.
Can I ask you something?
Sure can.
How many books did you read last winter?
Not many. I was writing one.
Face! Great. Well, I wrote one and read 16.
But it was about me on that time. Good for you. That was about me. Plus, I do 5 hours of radio a day. No time to read. Ball's in your court. You read 16? All right. Well, what kind of books were they? Plus, I don't believe everything I read. So apparently, you believe everything you read. I don't. I watch and make my own decisions.
I'm glad you think for me, too.
I do. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm not a Navy SEAL. I can't fight for you, so I might as well think for you. Because that's what short little nobodies do. We just sit around and think all day.
I want to see him do that thing where he grabs Jimmy's head and just goes
I'd prefer not to see that.
Anthony, can you not say that? Hey, Jesse, I just want to let
But by the way, I was also a bestseller. I'm sure not as high on the list as you were, but I was also a nonfiction bestseller. So that's what I was doing last winter to kind of counteract your implication that I'm an ass who doesn't read. I was doing that.
Yeah.
You're writing your second
book
book
that
now.
does read.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I did mine and read 16.
All right. Well, you did more. So point Jesse. But you asked me how many I read.
But then again, I live where I don't have a TV, so that helped too.
Well, okay. Well, if you did, then maybe we'd have a different argument. Like maybe you'd watch some of the footage over and over and go, "Oh yeah, that's kind of what happened."
Well, I wrote a blog
Not
on
having
my
a TV
MySpace.
doesn't make you smarter, though. You miss a lot of good shows. The Wire. I recommend it highly.
Amazing. All right, we got to go. We got to take a break here.
Jesse, thanks, man. You are.
I'm done. You guys told me I'd have the whole hour.
I say you stay.
Well, yeah. Well, we're running out of show.
Let's go to other topics. You know, you guys got me off on that one. And
join us. All right, good.
There's plenty other topics.
We've run out of show over here, but you can join us over at XM. No problem. And then we'll really.
I got other commitments.
And then we'll curse it. So. We'll start cursing over there.
Quickly plug real quick the book signings he has. Yep. Jesse has 2 book signings. He has one. Today's the 8th. The 10th is 6:30 p.m. It's at Bookends. It's a great bookstore in Ridgewood, New Jersey. You can fit a lot of people in there. And then April 11th, the next night, is very accessible from New York. Barnes & Noble on Route 3 East in Clifton. It's at 7:30 p.m., so you got time to go there after work. So you got 2 shots over the next few days to go and get your book signed. And it's called Don't Start the Revolution Without Me. Jesse's obviously a radical thinker and obviously a good writer.
It's kind of weird that you would plug him because he doesn't like you right now.
I don't care. Get into a nice heated dispute.
I like him.
You can respect each other and have a heated dispute. I like it.
He's convinced me.
There is a little bit of truth in that. He doesn't want to admit it, but there's a little bit of truth. I raised questions he didn't like, and that's the problem.
And I did too, that you didn't like.
No, you didn't.
Are you guys?
None. Not a 1.
We got to take a break.
Scary.
Call Opie and Anthony, 866-WOW-WOW-WOW, 866-WOW-WOW-WOW.
Shock Jocks, Opie and Anthony.
Shock Jocks.
Opie and Anthony.
Shock Jocks.
Opie and Anthony.
Shock Jocks.
Opie and Anthony.
In case you're wondering, it continued during the break. We're back with the Opie and Anthony show. Pretty much just to say goodbye because we're really, really late. I want to thank Robert Kelly for stopping in. His Just a Tip CD/DVD is out in stores right now, and you can get it through Amazon.com as well. Yes, Jimmy?
I will be in Detroit this Saturday.
I thought he was going to... What? I thought you were going to plug my CD for me.
Yeah, I'll be selling it. It's Clutch Cargo's in Detroit this Saturday night, and then Caroline's the 17th to the 20th here in New York. You'll convince me to buy that CD. I would say the 17th to the 20th, Caroline's.
Gee, you plug Mike Bibiglia's dumb DVD. You won't even give me one of your best friends a shot.
You just get what I did.
Oh, what'd you do? I'm sorry.
I got it, Jimmy. Why
am I dealing
just
with
talk to
dumbass?
Scott Martin.
I apologize, I should have just looked at you.
Yes, Scott Martin writes, okay, Jimmy stood toe-to-toe with Chris Jericho and now Jesse Ventura. Sam should give him his championship belt. Sam didn't exactly earn it. Just amazing radio, Jimmy. Absolutely amazing. No. Jesse's now talking to Anthony, and I think he's turning Anthony a little bit. Anthony, is he turning you a little bit?
Sure is.
I'm done. I'm turned.
No, he's done. He's convinced. Good night, Jeff.
I'm turned. Yeah.
Okay. He got me. I said good night. He was right. It was morning. He would love to bash my fat little face in that. Alpha males hate me.
I wouldn't waste my time.
I know you wouldn't.
Jesus.
Not that it would be a big time consumer. One good slap would do. Alpha males don't like it because they're used to overtalking everybody.
Huh?
This way.
All right, Jesse.
Bye, Jesse.
Go ahead either way.
Go officially on the air now and say you've convinced me completely.
You said it. That's all I need to hear.
Yeah.
I convinced you.
That's cool.
Attaboy. I like that.
Hannity and Combs tonight, right? Give you a little plug for that.
Yes.
Yeah,
really?
We're friends with Sean Hannity, so Hannity and Combs.
I can figure you probably were.
Yes. Whoa! We believe everything he says too, pal.
Actually, I don't really agree with his politics. I just like the guy.
I agre with his politics too.
Yeah, he does. Though.
He changed me.
He really is going to squeeze Jimmy like a stress doll.
Big deal.
Look at Jim. Big deal.
I'm not going to trash the guy because he's not here. I will say this: like, I have tremendous respect for his military, and I believe a lot of what he said. It's almost like, don't use the fact that you're a Navy SEAL and I'm not, because to say with a basement argument. Like, no one is questioning that. No one is I'm so pro-military. My father's military. I'm so pro-military. It's embarrassing.
Right.
So it's like, you don't need to use that as a weapon against me. I'm not claiming that knowledge.
There was a moment there where he really wanted to choke you out.
Big deal. You know
I'm
what?
just saying.
No, you're right. You're right.
There's observations here. And Jimmy, I was actually giving you a compliment. That didn't scare you.
In
the least, which I thought was really cool. Because he gave you the look of death.
That annoyed me.
When he said that you guys got to sleep eventually, we all went, oh.
Yeah, why? Big deal. Alpha, look, he's a big guy, and I don't pick stuff with big guys. But for real, I don't start stuff with big guys to do it. I don't want to get my feet kicked in.
No, he's coming back.
Let him come back.
No, I'm joking.
The bottom line in something like that, it's like, come on, man. If you want to debate, we're going to be intellectual. I'm not going to ever be back.
Look, you're right. It wasn't going to get physical at all. You guys are just going back and forth.
I'm not fighting the guy.
I mean, his technique of argument, guys do get like that. Like they try to intimidate you with their bigness. But
impossible. However, if we were in a bar and he hit on my girlfriend, I would take her panties off for him. I'm not an idiot.
You know what the thing is? Also, you almost forget he was in the WWF.
Yeah.
He's a wrestler, and he kind of still has that character of a wrestler, which is, hey, you convinced me. Good, Go, and then that give and take kind of back and forth thing.
Well, they used to actually. I mean, that guy like that. If you disagreed, had an argument, you would smack the guy on the head and, and go at it.
Hit you with a chair.
Yeah, that's kind of what they did, And Jimmy would actually just, go down.
I'm not saying he isn't passionate and believes in what he believes, which, but to me, that's fine.
Right.
That's fine. Believe what you want to believe and stuff, but don't put us on some far out ledge that we believe everything.
Exactly.
It's like just like he has questions and probably doesn't believe everything with this whole conspiracy thing. I'm not saying the government is completely honest with everything either, including 9/11, but we just disagree wholeheartedly on the methods used to get us into the Middle East.
And also that argument, instead of going, okay, that's a valid, this is what bugged me. Instead of going on a valid point, that's a valid point, maybe I could consider that. It became, you've convinced me. It's like, you think I've never argued and I don't know arguing techniques? Stop it.
You argue a lot.
I'm not going to badmouth the guy.
I got to say, Jimmy did stick up to him, but every time he did give a line, he gave it to Anthony instead of looking him directly in the eye.
To Jesse?
Yeah.
That's not true
at all.
Jesse looked Jimmy right in the eye.
I was just kidding.
I was
just kidding.
I want to apologize to the fine people that listen to us and watch us on Pal Talk because it crashed during that. So,
well, there was a lot of people wanting to check it out.
Yeah, I know. Right? Yeah.
However, I would suggest the book. It's obviously he's a controversial dude, and he's a best-selling author. You can't, and he served this country. Certainly a brave man in Vietnam. Yeah. Nothing bad to say about him as a guy.
An entertaining wrestler.
Yes. Apparently a good governor.
He needs new jeans, though.
Yes, he does.
And you notice that, too?
Don't start the revolution without me. It's on sale now in bookstores.
He had very old, faded jeans on. You can't trust a guy that has very old, faded jeans
When you see those jeans coming towards the bridge of your nose with a leg drop.
And
it got pretty exciting in here today.
Yes, Bob?
I'm going to be in Houston Improv this weekend, and today my CD comes out in stores.
Yes.
Yeah, we really are pushing Bobby's CD big time. Robert Kelly, Just the Tip. Make sure you go and buy that. You want a lot of people to buy it today.
I want them to go buy it because, I want, they think I'm going to sell 200 copies. I'd love to really stick it to Comedy Central.
Also comes with a DVD. And look, as much as we tease Bob, he's a good comic, and it's a great package, dude. The cover's cool, all the stuff inside of it. We'll just go out and just get it, man. Help Bobby out because it's worth it.
All right, I want to apologize to the affiliates, but when you got radio like that, you can't stop it in the middle because then you're going to lose all the steam of it was so intense. The tension, you're going to lose the argument. It all just goes away if you break in the middle of that. So
I'll tell you one thing.
So we really messed up all the affiliates because they have to do another commercial break. So I apologize, but I hope it was worth it. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We're off to XM. Bye. I want to start the show by saying this. Actually, yes. Doug B., I agree with you. He's writing us some feedback from work. I do believe that Rick Delgado was right and that Jimmy Norton does wreck the Opie and Anthony show.
Wow. Now that's saying something.
Jimmy, you were amazing.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you.
I'm kind of depressed because I like Jesse Ventura. I still like Jesse Ventura. But I'm just amazed that a guy that is as bright as he is just believes what he believes. I'm just amazed, actually, because when we were preparing for the Jesse Ventura interview, it started being thrown around that the guy believes that we, meaning our government, took down the buildings on 9/11. And we're like, nah, it's got to be like a typo. We're not reading this right. And then we did more research, obviously, and we're like, no, he really believes, the Loose Change documentary and all that other stuff out there. Yeah. I don't trust the government. I don't believe the government tells us everything, tells the truth.
Of course not.
On anywhere near the everything.
But he claims to be asking questions. I'm just asking some questions, but it's like, no, you're not.
He doesn't want answers.
Vehemently agenda-driven and defending. And a lot of those Vietnam vets don't trust the government with good reason. But that doesn't mean just because the government is scumbags that they did this.
And military operations that he brought up in the past, that the government was involved in deception, that's a lot easier to pull off than so many civilians being involved in 9/11. So many how many people witnessed the Gulf of Tonkin, the ship being sunk. How many people actually witnessed that? How many people witnessed Iran-Contra? Civilians. This was a crime that was witnessed by millions upon millions of people. It's unprecedented.
And Jimmy brought up a good point too. With today's technology, everybody has a camera phone, everybody has a video camera. You can't get away with anything without somebody actually getting it on video.
Like this big conspiracy is going to be able to be pulled off with all the outlets we have today to share information, pictures, audio. It just doesn't happen like that.
And in 6.5 years, you would think someone would have come out of the woodwork and said, all right, look, I got to finally talk about
one of the
what I know.
passengers would come out and say, look, they had us hidden. Jesus Christ, I'm getting tired of KFC. That's all they bring us.
Aruba stinks.
I'm bored. Who would think you'd get bored of Aruba?
Was he saying, this wasn't on the air, that he doesn't even believe that Osama bin Laden is real or something?
No,
he's like, how do you hide 6 foot?
He was implying he may work for the CIA. Because he did work for the CIA. When the Soviets were in Afghanistan, we had to align ourselves with the resistance. Part of that resistance was Osama bin Laden and the guerrillas that were fighting the Soviets. Same thing with Iraq. We were pretty much aligned with Iraq when they were fighting Iran because we didn't like Iran more than we didn't like Iraq. So that's why we had to put up with fighting a lot of our own weaponry and Soviet weaponry when we went into Iraq. It happens. That's called world fucking politics. Things change.
We helped the Taliban fight the Russians.
Yeah, of course. Listen, more importantly, Jeff from PA has a question. Yes, Jeff.
Hey, Jimmy, were you able to get a picture with Jesse Ventura after the interview?
No, I did it before.
Yeah.
He would have taken one after.
He took one with me after, and he was annoyed with me. But he was really pissed with you.
You guys couldn't. I'm sorry, but he couldn't see, but he actually pushed the microphone away from himself at one point.
Yeah,
we mentioned that. Why did you push the? Yeah, something that has to be said. There are times we have guests that come in. And you get a weird vibe, or you get a weird vibe before they even come to the studio, just knowing that it might not go so well. And one of us will always go, you might want to get your picture before they come in.
Yeah, let's do that beforehand. Well, he even did it this time because we asked him to do some liners for us. Read a little, hey, you're listening to Opie and Anthony.
Yeah, that boring crap to
Jesse
make us
the Body Ventura.
Look like we're bigger than we are.
Yeah. And he went after the show, after my interview.
Did he do it?
I don't know. Did he?
I don't know.
Anyone know?
I don't think he did.
Would know.
I don't think he did.
I don't think he did.
I don't think he did either.
Yeah. Let's say hi to Kurt and PA. Kurt.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Kurt.
I already think you're a comic genius, but man, I have so much respect for you the way you handled this guy.
Oh, thank you.
This guy was a fucking governor. How did he handle himself in meetings? Did he take his ball home and go home
like
then?
that?
Yeah, it was Minnesota, though. They're, what are you going to do?
And a true Navy SEAL, the way he blabs that shit out, most of these guys stay quiet. He just brings that shit up all the time.
Well, I wish I would have thought of this, because as a soldier, it's almost like you were a soldier. How many soldiers are going to be willing to turn on their own countrymen and just mass murder them? I'm not saying none would be. But the scale of that operation, are you telling me that there's that many dirty fucking soldiers? And stop it.
Right.
I know too many military guys.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Navy SEAL guy there about him, his real service with the SEALs.
Yeah. After that interview, we're walking over to XM, and I decided that I'm going to have a little intelligent conversation with E-Rock as we walk.
Jesus Christ! What?
By the time we got to
was that a fucking dream?
Well, exactly. By the time I got to the building, I'm like, why did I even bother? Why did I even bother? I was trying to tell E-Rock because he's like a student of radio. I'm like,
did he see something shiny?
Right.
It distracted him.
I'm like, I got a couple yeahs, and I'm like, oh, you don't even get my point. Like, there are guys like Jesse Ventura that comes on to a show like ours, and he just assumes, because I really believe this show is way above radio. Way above other radio shows.
Yeah.
But when you get guests like Jesse Ventura, they don't study the radio business, so that he thinks he's coming in and he's going to just be
Slappy and Wappy show.
Yeah, he's going to go on a Slappy and Wappy show and get to slap the host around a little bit and overpower the conversation. It's going to be my way, the highway, and that's it. He didn't realize he was walking into a situation where 2 out of the 3 are well versed on 9/11 stuff. You know, he wasn't going to be able to shove his bullshit down our throats. And I was trying to make this point with Iraq, and he's just like, yeah.
But another thing, though, well, you guys weren't attacking him. You weren't attacking him. You weren't attacking him all.
No,
it was actually a conversation going back and forth. You were bringing up your point, and he just didn't want to hear it.
It was a battle of the brains, basically.
Yeah, but
we pride ourselves. We could yell and scream at someone like anyone, but
were you going to say nobody's business?
I'd rather make a valid.
I call myself you asshole. So fuck you.
I'd rather make valid points with somebody.
Easy, Opie. Why do you fucking turn so quick?
Also, I'll respect
take one hit and you just want to stab somebody in the fucking face.
That's a good point. Good point.
I'll respect people's opinions and ideologies and stuff, even if I think they're dopey personally. But I will let them bring it into the discussion and then try to, dispute it. That's what dialogue is. That's what a conversation is. An argument, whatever you want to call it.
When he wasn't getting his way, he got really mad.
Yeah.
He started using that sarcasm, and then
you've convinced me.
He actually took the microphone and threw it like this.
He kind of whipped it around.
Hey, by the way, I got to mention this because it came in a lot, and I just don't know. I don't have knowledge on this. I did watch Fog of War, and I want to watch it again. It was great. It was an amazing documentary if you want to check out something different. Judy Osborne and a bunch of people. Ventura was wrong about the Gulf of Tonkin. Our troops were committed to the Vietnam War before the Tonkin incident. JFK had committed our troops before he was shot. But other people are saying that wasn't admitted in the documentary Fog of War.
No, you have to watch that again.
Yeah, I don't have the knowledge, but a lot of people say that's bullshit. The point he made about Fog of War.
You know what? I give a lot more credibility to the fact that the government was involved in some kind of hijinks with that to get us deeper into Vietnam. I know we were involved already, but there was a lot of it was as advisors. It was a limited amount of troops, and I know Johnson really wanted to throw a shitload more people in there, but
but you know what?
He needed a catalyst.
The government, the government might have been involved. They might have known about and maybe let stuff slide, and it could have been like this could be perfect. Because I don't believe that they didn't know that we were going to be attacked somewhere, sometime by something.
I think they probably knew that there was some kind of terrorist event that was going to happen. But in hindsight, you could add everything up and say, yeah, this is great. Look at all the facts that are here. But the bottom line is, it was so unfucking real that something like that could possibly happen.
The FBI and the CIA, plus, they don't communicate.
Yeah.
They never communicate. Yeah. One thing I want to say, too, I'm tired of guys doing this. Like Geraldo did it, and he did it. When you have a point of view, and
calling you a little worm,
yes, then fucking my mouth. In the green room.
Who said that?
No, Geraldo got mad at me too because I wasn't even coming at him. I just didn't agree with everything he was saying about immigration, and I'm tired of these fucking guys having these very strong opinions. And then when they're debated on, I didn't say "fuck you, Geraldo" or "fuck you, Jeff."
Right.
Like
Not
all of a sudden
face.
they feel victimized. And they stop it, motherfucker.
They might be getting mad,
and they try to just toss you aside, like,
believe me, I know I'm a fucking wormy.
Well, they might be getting mad because of the way you wear your headphones with your little ears sticking out. That might piss them off. You look like a half a retard. Can you put it on both ears?
Hold on. Let me get in here. Let me get in here for a second because it's worth mentioning. This is why we truly do love our listeners as much as we scream and yell at you a lot. Dave B. from Philly, he writes, way above radio? What's up Eastside Dave's ass? Baby shit mustache, tongue scrapings. Yeah, you guys are so above and beyond. He forgot. Well, we got to fill up all this airtime and something in between these intelligent political debates.
Yeah, but he's also forgetting, though. He's also forgetting, aside from this debate, he's forgetting a duty hat.
Right.
Duty hat.
And fucking mousetrap. And
duty hat. Jimmy
and hot ice on the balls.
Yeah, Jimmy putting pens up his ass because, black girls choose them. I guess we could come up with a bunch of them.
If I see a chewed pen cap, anyone that does that in the workplace, I take the pen and I put it into my ass crack and I put it back in circulation. Chew that one.
Oh, God.
Hey, the other thing that was very interesting, the Jesse Ventura thing started off, we were all on the same side to start the interview. And then I saw him actually kind of fold his leg and get comfortable and he goes, and this is not 11 thing. He was ready for all of us to just completely agree.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, boy, you have no idea what you're getting
Wait till you
into.
see the facts I bring out on this one.
Yeah, he goes, it all started with my son, and he told me, Dad, you got to read this stuff on the internet. And he really thought the next words out of our mouth was, "Oh my God, I'm so with you."
Good point.
And that's when we said, "Whoa, slow down."
Good point. Good point.
You guys debated this, a few times before. It's not like the first time you're having this conversation. You've talked in depth about this, but you guys weren't saying you're wrong. You were actually agreeing with some of what he said.
I know. He is wrong, 100%. Whenever they bring up the point of the buildings coming down looking like a controlled demolition, why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't a building coming down like that look like a controlled demolition? And what's the problem with it looking like that? It doesn't mean it is one.
And he said that some of the floors were closed, But his theory means that every floor had to have some kind of controlled explosion, right?
I have a question. Can someone who knows?
But he throws that whole point out the window by saying, "Look, it's a known fact. Some of the floors were closed for business."
Yeah, big deal. It's 220 stories.
Yeah, you needed 220 floors closed.
Can I just say something? I'm so dumb that I actually believe a couple times his sarcasm when he was like, "I don't know anything." I was like, "Oh, he's admitting it."
Jesus.
Here's
Robert. Seriously,
it didn't happen.
Seriously,
Bob didn't just say that.
I was kidding.
He didn't just say that.
I have no idea.
Bob didn't just say that.
It's a comedy show. I was just trying to add.
Oh, thanks.
But can someone who knows math? There is a formula, and I just don't know it. Where when I heard that argument about the floors falling, there's something with the way the things propel as they're coming down, term of lot, whatever it is. There's a mathematical formula for that, and I heard someone shut somebody down because you don't understand this formula, and I don't know what it is. Is there anybody out there that really knows what that is for real? Because it does exist.
Yeah, but if you ever saw a controlled detonation in Vegas, they actually have to go in, smash certain walls down, take out support beams. You can't just go in, stick dynamite in a closet,
and
then
it cartoon?
And blows up. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, you know what? It takes weeks. What are they going to do? Everybody's not going to go to work. Dude, it's a bunch of bullshit. Fucking lying. It happens just like that. You ever watch a controlled demolition? Dude, it takes weeks. All the furniture comes out.
The furniture comes out. Hey, Voodoo Dick. Very good.
Why do I fucking love when he does that?
We're all doing it now.
You know, I pay attention to you.
Yeah, Voodoo Dick from Long Beach writes, did Opie say, I said this, but I was reading someone else's instant feedback. Voodoo Dick writes, did Opie say JFK committed the troops before he was shot compared to what? All his post-mortem projects? All right. Well, that was very interesting radio, to say the least.
Oh, God.
It was. Oh, my God. Hannity's going to eat him up tonight on Hannity.
Yep.
Yeah, Hannity, he won't have enough time because he'll Hannity. Well, you
that's the problem. That's why I think we got some great stuff out of him. Because on a TV show, you got 7 minutes, maybe.
If you notice, too, Larry King is on the front of the book. His little quote about him. When you made your joke about Larry King, he really was like, he didn't get it.
Yeah, I know.
Because his buddy.
It's the quote on the front.
His buddy
from
is
Larry
just
King.
a big Jew head on shoulders.
Let's go to Minnesota. Bert, what's up, Bert?
What's up, man?
Hey, Bert, how are you?
Pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, I just want to give Jimmy props on that. All that douche ever did when he was governor of Minnesota was give $2,000 back to about 3/4 of the citizens. Otherwise, he didn't even finish his term. He left early, I believe.
Thank you very much, man.
Well, he did say his wife was sick.
Yeah, his wife had health issues.
I would have liked $2,000.
Yeah,
really? To add it to your $32 million?
I don't have $32 million.
It's like 30 now.
Let's go to...
you convinced me. Well, good. Glad.
Rob from...
Your little ear is fucking killing me.
Rob from Rhode Island.
See his big fucking ears? Holy shit, how did they fucking not see him swimming for Demolition? Those fucking elephant ears sticking out of the water.
No! Get Jesse back in here.
He's going to come out of your toilet and cut your balls off while you're
just heard me
shitting.
say it. I have to sleep. Yeah, and I will if you keep talking. I wish I thought of that shit.
We might have your formula, Jim. Rob, Rhode Island.
Hey, Jimmy, what's going on? I got your formula for you.
Hi,
Terminal
Rob.
velocity?
Yes. About the building falling, I mean.
Yeah. It's 9.8 meters per second for every second that it falls. And then it goes up to 180 miles an hour about. So if you're at the top floor by the time it got down, you got to figure how tall were the buildings.
About 1,000 feet, say, in that area?
1,100 feet, not including the spire at the top.
Right, of course.
So by the time it got down to the bottom, it was hit 180 miles an hour.
Wait. How many stories was the building?
110 stories.
Oh, okay.
No, 220, right?
No, total. I was combining both buildings for floors being closed.
You scared me because I did some quick math. I'm like, wow, there were a lot of short people in the Twin Towers. They would have had to be under 5 feet. It was a building filled with midgets.
Let's say it was about 1100
Being John Malkovich.
right. A building.
A bunch of 4-foot floors in that.
It also didn't start falling from the top floor. It started falling from, first of all, 10 floors down, and then the weight, especially the first one, fucking fell from a tremendous height. I mean, the middle of the building, like the 60th floor.
Yeah.
Or 70th floor.
Yep.
79th.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, like, from that, because you're going to have weight coming down on it. So, but that's the formula to figure it out. I don't think it would really matter weight-wise when it comes to something like that.
Hold on, sir. We have a maven. Go. Dude, listen.
You don't do a good Bob Kelly.
I don't do a good one. He does it way better. But if they actually will plan this, the government, just putting these people on the thing, I don't understand. Are they saying that the pilots were in on it too? Is that what they're saying? Is that what he's saying? I don't know. Is he saying that like the whole plane was in on this, smashing into the building?
Yeah. How does that work?
He'll probably say that nobody on the plane was in on it. Maybe he'll say that the plane didn't exist. Who knows what he'll say?
Yeah, because he was disputing the fact that the terrorists actually took the planes over with nothing but box cutters and stuff. So was the whole plane in on it? Was the pilots on it?
Even if they weren't in on it, if they weren't in on it, they just said the government put terrorists on planes. They were supposed to. You can't. The odds that maybe somebody does do something.
Yeah,
and what if the
that's
plane
what Jimmy was saying. There's so many things that could have happened.
What if the plane doesn't hit it, but you have all these explosives ready to?
That was the one I forgot. I've made that argument before. What if something happens and that fucking plane doesn't even take off?
Yeah, right.
What if there's a mechanical problem?
Some kind of problem.
And the fucking building, you don't think they would have searched the building and make sure all... That's the point I forgot. I need to make
Too many loose ends.
That's the one I didn't.
Too many fucking...
loose change.
Loose change.
Let's go to Mongo the trucker. Mongo.
Morning, guys.
Good evening.
Hello, Mongo.
I was a fireman for 9 years, and the whole thing about fire can't bring down a steel building is bullshit. A normal house fire, the ceiling can get up to 1,000 degrees in a normal residential structure. So if you add jet fuel to it, all steel has to do is get to about 1,800 degrees to lose its tensile strength. And then, especially if it has damage to it from the impact, you bring it down in a second.
They all seem to believe that metal has to be melting beams before the building will fall down. It doesn't have to just, kind of take away a little of the integrity of the beam by softening it, and the building's coming down.
Yeah, but plus the way that building was constructed, it was like a stencil, like it was a new design in buildings to get that up there.
Well, Anthony will tell you exactly what it's called.
What?
The building of the Twin Towers. What that?
A little exoskeleton that had on it with a center shaft that was made of steel, and then steel beams that went from the center shaft to the outside, to the exoskeleton. So that when all that cement starts falling, it's almost being funneled down through the metal exoskeleton, which you saw bending out like the banana peel, and at the end you saw them still sticking straight up. That guided the building straight down.
Yeah.
That's why it didn't tip over. That's why, it looked like a controlled explosion. Yeah, it did look like one.
Why did they find the black box and then Muhammad Atta's passport? They did find. That's a great question.
That is a great question. Like, what did happen to the black box? Why would they find something like that? It's paper that could have flown out.
But maybe the government found the box, and they
that's something
and took it away.
That's something I could definitely say. Something.
It's a great
maybe
question.
the government did lie on that one.
Maybe we found them,
because that's a government agency, the FAA. They could have found it, taken it away, and we'll never fucking know what was on there or why. Maybe for national security reasons. Who the fuck knows?
Why did the Pentagon pictures not get released? Why do they hold back on those? I also have questions about the government's behavior in this.
But I don't believe those questions' answers are that they were in on it.
Right. and they definitely Bush took advantage of the situation for his own cause, of course.
For his own dickdom.
Yeah, of course he did.
Dude.
All right.
Exactly.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I can't even But the thing is,
that's the type of thing you say alone.
What?
That's exactly what you say when you're alone.
What was it?
Dad, Bush does that for his own cause.
No, that's what you say in a conversation. It's in the conversation.
Nah, but you would use words like, oh,
Jimmy, do you think I just talk alone all the time?
Jesus. Because you're not exactly sure of
Jimmy,
what terms.
I'm not going to let you make me into a fucking dummy.
I didn't.
I do talk, asshole.
Nothing.
God, no. All right, I think it said got something, but the God did.
That was
got
very
an 11.
good. That was really
great
good.
joke.
I'm sorry, I
Come on.
on that.
All right, let's go to Dave in Jersey. Dave, what's up?
Hey, good morning, boys.
Hey,
I wonder if Jesse Ventura has the same thoughts about landing on the moon. Was that a big government conspiracy as well?
That would have been nice to ask him. Maybe next time.
Yeah. Could have done another. Yeah, he's coming back.
No, we didn't land on the moon.
Exactly.
Really?
No. You know, book signing having shitty publisher motherfucker.
Wow, Jimmy. Oh, man.
I'm always joking.
Oh, my God, I love it.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, keep saying it.
I'm joking.
I know, keep saying it. Oh, jeez.
Let's go to Mike in Ohio. Mike.
Yeah. Good morning, boys.
And a lot of people checking in saying black boxes are not indestructible.
They're not indestructible, no.
I mean, they hold up pretty good in most cases, but
they're not built to crash into fucking buildings and stay on fire for hours.
Let's go to Mike in Ohio.
I build them.
Mike.
Good morning, boys.
Hey, Mike.
Jimmy, I just got to tell you, you made me proud this morning, standing toe-to-toe with him and saying how you feel, and you didn't back down.
Thank you.
I just got to tell you, I respect you a lot.
Thank you.
To help the visual, too, Jimmy was a mere 7 feet away from him, with nothing in between them.
7 feet?
I've seen Jimmy not get that tough when the guy was on the other end of a phone, let alone in the studio.
There were a couple intense looks by Jesse.
Yeah, he got very angry at one point. But he knows I'm not challenging him physically. Like, there's so no justification for him to take it a step. He wouldn't, firstly. He's not going to do that. He's a governor. He's a responsible guy.
No, but he is a wrestler. Those guys are nuts. I think he actually slapped a reporter once. Didn't he do that too?
That was Dr. D. David Schultz.
Oh, was that him?
Yeah.
Sam is right now filling up because I know that John Stalster got fucking slapped. Sam right now is very impressed.
That's a great video.
And he probably has another one that he can come in and tell me about.
Sam was pretty funny after the whole thing when we went off the air over there and we were walking over here. He goes, "See, you should have stuck to wrestling." Just talking about wrestling with him.
You didn't do it as Sam, though.
Oh, he should have stuck to wrestling. No, Sam doesn't sound like that anymore. His voice changed, I think.
Well,
he's growing up.
He's growing up, yeah.
He popped his cherry.
Pete in Jersey. Pete?
Yeah. Hey, I don't know what he was talking about as far as that air defense, because I'm a cop over here in Jersey.
I'm a cop, you idiot.
Yeah, we were over here at the Goethals Bridge, and when we heard there was a third plane, these two fighter jets went over so fast and low, the ground shook.
When the hell did this happen? I know.
9/11? Oh, yeah.
But then he's like, he's like, I was down there a week later. So were we. I got the tour. So did we. What do you think that they fucking showed you? The big cover-up thing that us didn't get to see?
I know.
Shut up. You're probably taller than the wreckage. You're fucking 6'8". That us didn't get to see.
Rich Voss was down there selling his CD. It's a discount for firemen.
Oh, don't try to punch it up.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, really.
Speaking of CDs,
I
have two.
What?
Oh, it's about Bob again. Go ahead, Bob.
You know what? Whatever. Buy it if you want.
Give the big plug.
Bob is number 4 million on Amazon. Let's fucking go in there and buy some. I'm actually going to buy one of dummy CDs on Amazon.
Ooh.
I will do that.
Yeah, just to get the numbers
That's
up.
happening.
What number is he on Amazon at this point there, Thing?
He is currently...
Is he moving up?
What is it?
He was earlier... what was he earlier, Travis? 80-something?
Don't humiliate him.
He was 861. He has, with a bullet, gone to 968.
What's a bullet?
Hey, what happened there?
Hey, he dropped?
He dropped.
What's a bullet? Hopefully you'll call it lunch.
Look at the panic on Robert Kelly's face.
But no, I was actually, I told you, I was like 30, 40,000 Friday.
You were checking on Friday.
Well, no, the guy at Comedy Central was like, hey, that's not that bad.
Oh,
this is just Amazon.
Oh, they have no faith in me over there. Honest to God, he's like, well, 5,000 would be good.
Where are you talking about? Earth?
Our buddy Bob is fucking. They kind of look at him like he's a fucking. The Comedy Central has some great things, but they don't seem to think Bob's gonna sell any CDs.
Well, he's going to sell CDs today. Just a tip. Let's say hi to Brian in Columbus. Brian, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey.
So anyway, like, my whole thought is, he's saying it's a conspiracy and shit. If it's not a conspiracy, if it is a conspiracy, hell. I mean, you look at Deep Throat, that was the biggest secret of all time. And he finally came out.
Yeah, between a couple of people, dude.
Secret?
Between a couple of people, it was. Like, you can't keep a secret between a few people, especially military guys and guys in the government. They can keep secrets. But when you talk about mass scale, like where you need so many, again, even in Abu Ghraib, a lot of them kept that secret. But it was, somebody couldn't.
Right.
Right.
And that was a much less serious secret.
Yeah.
But somebody couldn't keep it. And that's military in a war zone.
Always.
Yeah.
They always will. Somebody will.
To Jimmy.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Jimmy, he's sitting there giving props to Jesse this morning in front of his face, saying, "Oh yeah, go get his book signed, go get your book signed," and now he's calling them shit publishers.
I was joking. I said I was kidding.
That's all jokes. Forget it. Why
You're
bother?
a fucking idiot.
Hey,
I said after that I was
all right,
kidding.
Jimmy.
You
Most
fucking
people
dumb
understand.
motherfucker. Fuck you and your dumb dad who thinks it's a conspiracy. Fucking asshole caller.
James in Montana writes.
Fucking
His eyes
I'm
get
trying to.
completely round.
What a dummy.
There's
Completely
white.
round.
They're complete. You can see white around the whole pupil when he gets mad.
Well, yeah. Well,
gets so
listen.
mad.
I'm trying to bring some
Called
comedy.
the iris.
I'm trying to bring some comedy back into this.
Whatever.
Hold on. James in Montana writes.
Pupil's the black spot in the middle.
Yeah, around it.
But it's supposed to be
Right,
right
he did
around
say
it.
Supposed to get white around the pupil.
All
dummy.
right, you nerd. Don't get technical.
Listen. James in Montana, he writes, political genius and amazing
Cornea.
debate skills aside, I about shit my pants when Aunt said he was 40 flurf.
Oh, is that great?
I couldn't remember. I really couldn't.
No, you're doing what I'm doing.
Alzheimer's.
You're trying to keep it down.
Like
Keep it down a few years.
How old are you?
Yeah, he goes, huh?
got
The
a government man.
It's working now. It's fine. It's
Yeah,
fine.
Is
fuck it.
it back on?
Yes, it is.
No.
Opie.
Is
It was
it?
a mere
Oh, it is.
glitch.
Okay.
Now that I got brain cancer?
That hurt.
He just called his Navy
That
SEAL
scared me.
buddies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm cutting the lines.
He's up on the roof right now.
he's in the basement.
I'm
or
there
whatever,
with
yeah.
SEAL Team 6, cutting the lines.
In the black tights, he looks all fat.
Anthony panicked and he goes, how old am I again? How many? And then he goes, 40 flurf.
40 Floor Evan.
40 flurf.
40 Flurf.
Ah, you cunt.
40 Flurf.
Wait, don't get that clip.
That was Reggie
40
Jackson's
flurf.
number. Pound writing number 40 flurf.
40 flurf. The instant feedback.
Oh, at the Obama rally.
James in
Oh, sorry.
Montana writes,
Oh,
whoa.
Nothing.
I made that joke yesterday and no one heard it.
And I stole it today.
Damn, no, you didn't. They still got the Chuck Heston footage.
All right.
That fucking joke
Ixnay.
yesterday.
Ixnay.
All right. So what do we? A different TV. Okay.
No, I'm just looking at all the TVs and what's going on, Jimmy. He wrote, how this guy, James in Montana, writes it. He wrote 40 flurf, F-L-U-R-F, but now I got to hear the actual clip.
40 flurf.
40 flurf. 40 flurf. But the best part
Mumbling
is,
idiot.
listen to Anthony looking for help around the room. How old am I again?
We've lied for so long. I have no clue how.
What age are we admitting to these days? I'm 40 flurf. 40 flurf.
But it was so funny that Anthony was
I'm
like,
good for 40 Flurf.
trying to think, like 40 or like he's looking up in the air, like that.
I don't remember.
Jimmy, is this one going to piss you off? This guy writes, I love how you weasels discredit Jesse after he leaves when he discredited your non-serving head-up-your-ass TV watchers.
Shut up! That guy knows.
Yeah, he's
We're all
just being a
non-serving
douche.
TV watchers, and he's listening to a satellite fucking subscription service. Shut it.
And you're listening to like a show
This
where we have a
nonsense.
guy, put fingers up his ass and pull shit out of it.
Exactly. Keychain with duty on it, and he smells it.
Right.
Well, you really fucking go highbrow.
You're listening to this shit to begin with.
I gave him $100 to put his own shit fingers in his mouth.
Right.
And he did it.
That's what you're listening to. That's what you're going out of your way to listen to. And you're going to make fun of us.
Way to not go mainstream and fucking believe anything anyone's telling you. Way to only read the fucking dark, smart stuff. El Zilcho. And there's nothing I've said about Jesse that I would not say when he was in the room.
Yeah, of course.
Actually, when he left, I actually gave him a lot of things. I respect
Dude, you said a
him.
lot of unbelievable things right to his face.
Yeah, I would never say anything.
Some of your rants were
Flying
great.
out the window.
What?
Oh, no, it's the crane. It looked like, I saw a reflection in the window. It looked like a balloon floating past the window.
With all the crane accidents in this city, we said it earlier, but we could see this crane we talked about earlier today. It's right there. This fucking,
look at that.
this crane is about 10 to 15 stories high. It's got us a little nervous.
That thing tips over. We're so dead.
But by the way, I think the important thing here
Yes,
is that fucking
sir.
Anthony just confused a balloon and a crane.
Yeah.
These are not close things.
Dude, he is 44.
44.
Well,
when you're 44, if your eyes start going.
The mind's the first thing to go when you're 44.
Wait, is that a balloon? No, it's a forest fire.
How old am I? I'm 44.
Hamna. Ed Norton.
Oh, no.
44.
How old am whatever. Did we got that clip? We find it yet, Danny? Oh, you still finding it? All right, we're going to get it in a second.
As soon as he asked your name,
44.
all the little hot 20-year-olds just scream through your head.
No, they know how old I am.
They do.
You kidding?
You tell them.
Yeah.
57 years here.
57.
Let's go to Jay in Ohio. Jay.
Good morning, boys.
Hey.
You there, man?
Yeah.
Hey, I used to work on for Grimes Aerospace on the black boxes, and they're far from indestructible. We used to do tests where we would put them in a heat chamber and run them, and we took them up so hot that they would melt. And once magnesium from aluminum starts melting, it's done deal. You can't stop it. It's a fire that won't go out. So
What heat does that happen at? Do you know?
Say again, Jimmy.
What temperature does that happen at?
At about 1,800 Fahrenheit, the magnesium comes out of the aluminum, and everything's destroyed.
How hot did the fire get? In did they?
204 degrees.
Oh, like you can make muffins.
He was setting up for one of our bits, Bobby.
Yeah,
You missed it, Bobby, you big fat pig.
All right, relax, you fucking dumb cunt. You come to one of my shows, I'll fucking punch you right in your face. We'll see how fat I am. You fat mustache cunt.
Bobby is finally had it.
I'm really going to fucking punch you right in your face, you fat cunt. I hope you die in a fucking magnesium fire today.
But it was the way the guy said it. Please, can we hear that again?
So maybe I shouldn't read Stephen S. from Bayshore's instant feedback, huh?
What?
Hey, Ope, the crane is out there to lift Bobby's lunch up to the studio. Actually writes Blobby's lunch.
I'm not even fucking that fat, you fucking dumb audience member.
And let me tell you what I did for Stephen S. the last few days. He's been trying to push one instant feedback for the last 2 or 3 days, and I refuse to read it because it's not funny.
Which
one?
one?
Really? Pushing
Let's hear it.
He thinks... Well, now you guys are going to laugh, though, now.
No.
He thinks Bobby's CD should be called Just the Tub.
That's not even funny.
It's bad.
I get it, but
he's been pushing it for 2 or 3 days. But Stephen S. had to do it because you insisted that you try to get that read today. Say.
You fucking internet tough typer. It didn't work.
Just the tub. It's
now go back to your wife and go, it didn't work, honey. I thought it was. Well, maybe next time.
He's single.
Oh, fuck him.
Don't make fun of him.
Can we please hear
Don't make fun of him.
Yeah, he's having a tough time finding a girl. He's a little
You think so? He's spending all morning thinking of witty shit to type into this show. Why wouldn't you have a tough time?
Bobby's finally had it. I love it.
That guy called Bobby a big fat pig. It was so
What clip are we looking
for?
Are we going to go with 44?
Half these guys that calling me fat, I see them at the show. They're fucking a mess.
And Bobby, how much weight have you lost?
20 pounds.
There you go.
Look at this fucking
Bobby,
shit.
you big
Fucking
fat
cocksuckers.
I said it on...
Look at that fucking
Dude,
shit.
I said it on the radio the other day, like when you were shirtless on Power Talk, for like a guy that's a bit bigger.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call you fat anymore. You got a well-defined, chiseled chest.
I look like an unfinished statue naked. Up top, I'm all right, but then you go down past my tits.
Right. No, you're not.
Past my tits.
Right.
No, I said I look like an unfinished statue.
All right, listen, Danny's got some clips for us. Which one are we playing first?
This is 44.
44. Listen to Anthony. All right, go.
I remember back, and how old are you?
44.
Okay, you're a little...
No, stop. That's not where... You guys laughed over it. I mean, that's good and all, but he continues. Go back again. That's not.
I remember back, and how old are you?
44.
Okay, you're a little you're a little light, but I remember back.
I guess it was. I'm sorry.
I'm 44.
44.
Fucking
oh, God, that's funny. That's going to be a name on message boards and everything. 40 Flurf. 40 Flurf. We'd like to welcome 40 Flurf to Whackbag.
Oh, my God. Let's go to Jack in Boston. Jack, what's up?
Jimmy.
Hey, Jack. By the way, if someone didn't let the 20 pounds go by, you lost 20 pounds, right, Bawabi? Well, I guess he's happy today. Fast Freddy's back with us today. He writes from Jamaica Station. 20 pounds? Did he take his lunch out of his pocket?
That's a little rude.
That's not even funny, stupid. Fucking work on that shit and get back to it.
Bobby does look like he's lost weight. I mean, to be honest, Bobby has lost weight.
4-7 floor for go. Cigars and scotch. Nice. What do we got? Okay, Jack, what do you got?
Jimmy.
Hey, sir.
Yeah, the unfinished statue of a walrus. Jason from Troy. Yes, Jack.
Yeah, I just want to give Jimmy props on the precision in which he fired that book comment at Jesse. That was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Well, again, it was irrelevant to what we were discussing, and it was based in being pompous. And when big guys try to go intellectual, what happens is this. They get annoyed if someone's intellectually going back at them, and that tendency to fucking treat little shits like me the way they always did comes out. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, don't try to go intellectual unless you're prepared for someone to go back at you that way.
Yeah.
That's all.
Let's go to Mark in Alabama. Mark?
Yeah.
Hey.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah.
Hey. You gonna do this all day?
Yes, Mark, we hear you.
Yes, talk!
Sorry about that. I want to know why y'all didn't go after Jesse Ventura for discrediting everything the American government said, but all of a sudden believing everything Fidel Castro says.
Because he would have had an answer for it. I actually didn't think of it, but he would have just, said about the history of lying and Fidel's a freedom fighter. Whatever he would have said.
I mean, what is Fidel Castro supposed to... What is Fidel Castro supposed to say? Yeah, I shot...
I killed him.
Well, I don't think Fidel Castro did, but yeah, of course.
I just thought it was ridiculous that he would believe everything he said.
Yeah, he really did talk to Fidel like he was fucking Honest Abe or George in front of an apple tree.
Alabama mail.
Can we please hear that clip? Because it was just so mean what he just said
Which
to Bob.
one?
Just a minute ago when the caller just got mad at Bob.
Yeah.
It was so uncalled for to call Bob.
It really was.
How hot did the fire get in did they
204.
I come to one of my face with see how fat I am. You fat mustache cunt.
Electronic, like you're shutting a breaker off or something in my head.
Does that fucking hurt? So
Damn.
now we didn't hear that?
Let's wait.
We're going to take a break.
Replay it. Headphones are on.
Yeah, I want to hear it. Gotta hear it.
Yeah,
try it again.
How hot did the fire get in did they
204 degrees.
Oh, like you could make muffins.
He was setting up for one of our bits, Bobby.
Yeah,
You missed it, Bobby, you big fat pig.
All right, relax, you fucking dumb cunt. I'll tell you what was funny about it. Come to one of my shows, I'll fucking punch you right in your face with see how fat I am. You fat mustache cunt.
Oh, he just laid into you for no reason.
I'll tell you why that was funny, though. I'll tell you why it was funny.
You big fat pig.
It sounded like Buford T. Justice. you big dummy.
You big fat pig.
Oh, that was it. He said it with that accent. You big fat pig. He said pig.
Oh.
You missed it, Bobby. You big
uncalled for. Totally uncalled for.
There was no reason for it.
We're going to take a break.
Oh, really? No fun. You fucking...
No, but I mean, no.
There's an absolute reason for it.
It was accurate.
We got to take a break. Trust me. Supposedly XM's cutting out. Signal just blinked out again.
Wow.
XM keeps cutting out.
Really?
Okay.
We'll regroup after the break and continue with making fun of Robert Kelly on his big day. You would think today we would be
this
nice.
radio fucking stinks. This is actually affects sales coming on this fucking show. No, it does.
Why?
I was 800 when I showed up. I'm 910 now.
Fuck this. Stop eating.
That was a good one. That was a great one. I don't know why. I'm not going to laugh because it's about me, but you guys missed
Robert
it. That was
Kelly's latest project, Just a Tip, a CD and a DVD. You can get it on Amazon.com right now. Hey, let's say hi to John in New York. John, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hi, John.
Yeah, I just wanted to congratulate Jimmy on the great job he did with the bully Ventura yesterday, Mr. Navy SEAL.
Oh, thanks, man.
Was he a Navy SEAL? I didn't notice that from yesterday's
Yeah, I read
conversation.
something like that after. He was humble about it. He didn't mention it. But I wish I had thought of it yesterday. But, because he really, for years, he didn't have anything to say about it. And all of a sudden, that crack SEAL training kicked in, and 7 years later, he said, wait a minute. There's a conspiracy. What a good way to notice when you're walking down there.
He took time to really absorb the info and make an assessment.
He was. It was pretty amazing. It was an amazing interview yesterday.
Amazing.
Thanks for the call, John.
Thank you, John.
And he was bragging about how, a poll on CNN or Larry King. A lot of people want him to be the president of the United States of America. Remember, he was bragging about that. And then after the wackiness he showed on our show, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Thank God he's nowhere as close to being the president of the United States. He did a good job for Minnesota for a few years. But
Minnesota.
But I don't know. I think he's lost his mind. I really do.
Well, he could have.
Huh?
He could have lost his mind.
I said I think he did.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean.
I think he lost his effing mind.
I think he did.
So... And who's this, Alex? What were you trying to tell me, E-Rock, just before the show?
Alex Jones, the theorist guy for radio.
Oh my God, the what?
Oh, the theorist guy for radio?
Yeah.
What the hell are you talking about?
The theorist guy. Like we were just gonna glaze over that.
Yeah.
He's the theorist guy for radio.
Well, whatever. So
no, not whatever. What is he?
A conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
Very nice. Now say that really fast.
Yeah,
go.
9/11 conspiracy theorist. Go.
9/11 conspiracy theorist.
There you go.
Oh, very nice.
His apparently his website needs to be rebooted, but on his homepage he had your photo with Jesse Ventura and it was linking to the audio of the interview. It says it starts off strong, it gets interesting, but then you guys fall apart because you can't intelligently answer his questions.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Happened.
Yeah, okay.
Good point, Alex.
When he sat there and just babbled.
Yeah, when he spun the microphone away and wouldn't talk into it.
Yeah,
he said, "Well, you've convinced me."
He got so frustrated by the answers Jimmy was giving that he actually took the microphone away from his own face. God, who is this Alex Jones guy?
Just he does some brokerage
no, you're
radio.
Supposed to say
he's a conspiracy, the theorist guy.
Huh?
The theorist.
He's syndicated on a lot of AM stations, like overnights and.
Yeah, is he? Why is everyone saying great job, Jimmy versus Ventura there? The message boards, everyone was saying it. So,
wow, and my we don't get mad, we get even.
You have to sleep sometimes.
Yes, keep talking, it'll happen.
Did you sleep well? Did he come in your window and have a knife in his teeth?
I wanted to doze off while he was talking. We get it. We know the fuel. It's hot, metal burned. I got a plane and the cell phone's on the moon.
On the moon?
God, shut up. Get it.
He's had a fall from grace. That was my observation from yesterday.
Swan dive.
He had a hell of a political career going for himself, and somewhere along the way, he lost his marbles.
He's a new theorist guy, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe Rock? Sure.
Let's say hi to Steve in Chicago. Steve, what's up?
It is Steve.
How you guys doing?
Good, Steve.
Hey, Jimmy, I just wanted to say, man, you're my hero after that yesterday.
Thank you, buddy.
I don't know if you guys heard, apparently Jesse Ventura wasn't allowed to speak his mind for 3 years or something. Is that true?
No, he's 6'8". Who's telling him about to say what he wants?
He can do whatever the hell he wants.
Oh, okay, never mind. I heard false information. But anyway, I just wanted to say, man, I think this is going to be a big backlash on this psychotic, good publicity for you guys.
My problem wasn't even that his opinion was what it was, because, look, whatever. People have, when he said something about Muhammad Atta's passport, since day one, that has been to me like, all right, luckiest find ever. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is creepy how the lead hijacker's passport, you think, of course, that's a creepy.
Kind of found on the street. Yeah,
man. I'm not going to say it's not a very, very bizarre thing.
Maybe the government just got another copy because they really wanted to tie up everything nicely. They knew it was him, but they just wanted to really show the American public.
Yeah, look.
It was him.
Found his passport.
Right.
But he sulked. It's like, what, are you going to take your toys and go home?
I don't know.
He really did.
Sorry.
I think you got to be from Manhattan to understand what it would take to wire those two buildings without anyone noticing.
No. Come on.
Thousands and thousands of people working in that building pretty much 24/7.
Well, he had an answer for that, too, during a break. You know who was the head of security for that building for the 3 years prior?
Bin Laden?
George Bush's brother. What? Was he?
So, and then he said that they closed down a few floors, but if you follow his logic, every floor would have had to been wired for explosives.
Yeah.
Or to fall like he thought it fell.
People getting in the elevator with like boxes of TNT, like cartoon things that just say dynamite on the side.
Right.
Well, some elevator music plays.
And how are they covering up all the holes as they're getting the explosives into the foundation of the building?
And not
the foundation, but the structure of the building.
Not one piece of metal with a hole that had been drilled in it was found. Like not one out of 10,000.
Well, he says that some of the beams were cut with shape charges. It's like, what? Were they? I never heard of that. I never saw a picture of that. Just a tangled wreckage.
I was a SEAL. I should know that because 7 years later, I recognized that. I didn't recognize it when I was in office or when it happened or when I was down there. But I saw some college student's website, and then I just, all right, we know.
And he really thought we were going to agree with him.
You know,
that was the amazing part of the whole thing because the interview was really terrific in the beginning. We're all agreeing, and he had some interesting things to say. And then he kind of put his foot up, and he was sitting back, and he's like, and this 9/11 thing, my son told me I had to go and read some of this stuff on the internet, and man, I'm starting to believe. I'm like, whoop, time out.
Are ya?
Commercial time. We'll get back to this in a few minutes.
Every time he brought up a point, we should have just brought up facts from the movie Predator and have him try to talk about that.
Yeah.
So what do you think was the camouflage that the Predator used? How was he able to make himself look like the trees? Comment? No, I was talking about 9/11. Oh, no, we're talking about Predator.
Yeah, right.
I love that. How were you able to hold that mini gun from the helicopter? Was the ammo hard to hold on that one?
Did you have a nicer trailer than Carl Weathers? Because you know why?
We wanted to talk to him about Predator and his wrestling days, but wow, that 9/11 stuff took on a life of its own yesterday.
Sam was very upset after the show.
Yeah.
That we didn't stick to wrestling, he said. He goes, you guys should have, he gave us some criticism.
Yeah.
So we should have stuck to wrestling. So then it would have made the conversation a lot nicer.
I think he was joking.
Yeah,
I don't know he was.
I think he was too.
Hey, videos of Jesse Ventura's appearance is up on our website that we still cannot promote, but it's named after this fine radio show.
Mm-hmm. Crap.
They might also be linked to onaradio.com. We'll see.
Could someone power boot my computer? Thank you.
Let's say hi to Jeremy in Indiana. Jeremy.
Hey, boys.
Hey.
Jimmy, first of all, you're the man, first of all. And second of all, I just wanted to say, not only was what Jimmy was saying was awesome, counteracting everything he had to say, Opie and Anthony, you guys were perfect backup for him. You know what I mean? It was just amazing, 1, 2, 3 punch.
1, 2, 3 punch.
I don't know if that made any sense.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
Anyway, he looked like a complete.
We were Jimmy's background singers. We were just.
Yes,
we were just.
the dream girl.
We were swooping and oohing and on.
The Pips.
Anyway,
we were Jimmy's
Jimmy
Pips.
Norton and the Pips.
Yes.
We were the Pips to Jimmy Norton's fine confrontation there.
They had box cutters.
I got to tell you, Jeremy, that's really not a compliment. That you're saying basically we were his backup singers.
Well, no, but because Jimmy was holding his own, and you guys knew it. I think
Yeah, he was holding his own, squeezing it, pinching the helmet.
Yeah. Pulling it right in front of him. What are you going to do about this, big fella?
Because there wasn't much more you could say that Jimmy hadn't already said, though,
To be honest with you, dude, I wish I had more facts. When you're arguing something like that, sometimes you're arguing with common sense and emotion. I got an email last night. It's like, I wish I would have known this. Mm-hmm. When he mentioned Payne Stewart's thing, they tracked that. The guy raised a great point in an email. He's like, Payne Stewart's transponder was left on.
Right.
These planes were turned off on purpose to make it harder for them to track.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. And there was a time difference. It wasn't a 20-minute tracking. It was an hour and 20.
Yeah.
This guy sent me a great MySpace from that was some stuff I wish I had handy.
I don't really trust our government, but I certainly don't believe that the government took down the Twin Towers. I just don't believe that one
Jesse
whatsoever.
Well, you convinced
whatsoever.
me. You've convinced me.
All right. Hey,
really?
We got to move on. I think we start the show today with a little sing-along. Why is that?
No, we started. Oh, my God. We started the show. Hi, good morning.
No.
Hey, how about that Jesse the Body?
Here we go.
Oh,
hold on a minute. I didn't mean to be ignorant. Mike in New York, go ahead.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, that's a little bit of an ignorant statement. You say you're wise to everything that goes on in Manhattan buildings. I'm in construction. I do work in buildings. We bring stuff in. Nobody in the buildings knows what it is. We don't even get checked by security anymore.
Oh, yeah? And,
that
sir?
was the case that doctor would have gotten hacked by the guy who came in with the bag full of knives.
Wait,
sir?
Telling me everybody was wise in the building that knew what was going on.
But, sir?
Wait, first of all, I didn't mean to be ignorant. I think there's people that don't live in Manhattan and think and have no idea of the hustle and bustle of some of these buildings. And so you believe that
because of the hustle and bustle, everybody's busy and not paying attention to what's going on around.
Not paying attention to people drilling holes in beams through walls?
Hey, you know how many times we do it in construction sites? People will fight and don't ask questions.
Dynamite?
Yeah, we're not
putting fuses in.
But we're not talking a basic construction project where you drill a couple of holes for something.
Or replace a ceiling tile.
This would be a major job. And why hasn't anyone come forward? And don't say because they died in the buildings. I'm thinking if a major construction thing is happening, you probably would have quit your job and realized, wow, something huge is going down here.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be a part of it. And I got to tell the authorities.
I got you. I'm going to go with Jesse Ventura on this one. You guys completely convinced me. I'm convinced.
No, you really believe that the government took down the Twin Towers?
Oh, no. I'm just saying, you made it sound like, we know everything that's going on because if you're in Manhattan, nothing sneaks by your eyes.
No,
there's a lot of stuff that sneaks by. I live in Manhattan myself, and there's a lot of things that happen.
Have you ever been around the Twin Towers?
Yeah, of course. I've worked down there.
It was like a mini city.
Of course, yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot going on. It's impossible to see everything that's going on or be wise to it all.
There's way too many eyes. Way too many eyes.
Listen, guys, I don't want to upset you. I love the show. I love you guys.
You have already.
All right, I apologize for the ignorant statement. I just know we get a lot of people that come into New York and they've never been in the Twin Towers and they make up, they come up with all these theories. It's like, were you ever in and out of that building? Do you understand what it would have taken?
I wonder if the people drilling the holes and planting the dynamite to kill everyone in the building, do they take lunch? And if so, what do they talk about? Like, they're human beings.
Yeah.
They're not robots. So, they're drilling, they're putting, dust in, and they're walking by, basically, people that they're helping to murder.
Yeah.
Thousands of them. Do they go down? You want to grab a hoagie?
Yeah, they get one of the gophers. Hey, grab some sandwiches for the guys.
Right.
All right, yeah, we're just here to, murder people.
Yeah. And we got to do the 88th floor tomorrow. We're on floor 87. They're in the other building. You want to meet downstairs later for Coke? All right.
So what'd you do today at work, hon? Well, we're demolishing the Twin Towers. Well, I didn't hear that on the news or anything. They never brought that up. I know. It's odd.
Yeah, keep it under your hat, honey. Between us.
Say anything.
It's just amazing.
It was a hell of a day today. We were laughing. We were up on the 86th floor, just drilling holes and putting explosives in there. And, that guy Mike, he's such a character. He took the TNT and made antennas with it, and he was walking around and making the employees laugh.
Or maybe they didn't know what they were doing. They were just doing what they were told.
Right.
And all of a sudden, on September 11th, wait a minute. I drilled holes in that building for 6 months and put bombs in. That could have been what happened.
I think I might have been responsible for that. Stop it.
Plus, the more you read about 9/11, they were hoping to completely destroy the economy of the United States of America. So the president of the United States was going to take that risk, take down these two huge buildings, and possibly collapse the economy?
Yeah.
That's a hell of a risk right there. We're going to try this out. I don't know if it's going to work, but it's something we've been noticing for a while now, and we might have something.
It's the radio voice of
Like we talked about, like so many radio guys seem.
Well, I wanted to like at least acknowledge that production right there because
terrific.
Boy, are the listeners going to be disappointed. The big la da 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 da, and then it's going to be crap.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of talk about how they all sound similar. And it's like if you have Patrice in here and you got Ope and myself, you can pretty much tell who's who when you're listening to us yap.
Yeah.
But when you listen to some of these guys talk, they all have that radio school voice.
Radio voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we put a montage together. And I want you can just play along at home. Figure out how many different radio guys are featured in this montage. You might be surprised. Okay? Here is the montage.
And I don't like when people call me Todd Clem because that's not my name. My name's Bubba the Love Sponge Clem. I had it legally changed.
Kids Like Us 101, the ongoing on-air adult education course that teaches men how to get more tail for less money.
You never want to come on after a show that was popular, and I understand that. And I never wanted to do it. I never, ever, and it was offered to me at one point, and I don't want to do it. I didn't want to do it.
Oh, a great movie. You don't know what you're talking about. Cinematic masterpiece. You have no idea what you're doing.
If I was a hot chick, I'd be the same way. It's like, I'm not paying for anything for you, dude. I'm hot. There's a bunch of dudes that can pay stuff for me.
That's why it's asinine, the control corporate press claiming that we didn't own guns in the colonies and that most people didn't have guns. Everybody owned guns. It was a frontier nation. We just had massive wars with the French.
Snoop Dogg's real name is Calvin Brodus. You hate him now, right? Huh? Huh? That's funny. That's not funny. They're not funny.
Oh, that description
That's
is
awesome.
even terrible.
How amazing is that?
They're all
Slight changes, if we're being honest here, but for the most part, it's the same over-the-top voice.
Some of the changes are just the voice, the recording quality.
Right. Yeah.
The sound coming out.
They all have that stupid radio voice.
Yeah. Oh, we have one more? They're telling me we have one more to play for everybody. That should have been part of the montage.
Yes, it is. This is E-Rock along with Danny, Nathaniel, and Travis taking you through 12 hours of the best of Opie and Anthony since coming to XM Satellite Radio. We've got segments of Opie losing his mind, Anthony freaking out, Little Jimmy outbursts, Steve from Yellowstone calls, Ramon promos, Drew Boogie remixes, in-studio guests.
I left this delivery in the toilet.
Show segments, listener submissions, and a whole lot more. Let's start things off with a selection from our first category, Best Show Opener, on the best of Opie and Anthony.
Oh, the best. Oh, Anthony.
He's like, it's so adorable. He's got like a baby radio voice. In another few years, you'll sound just like Man Cow and Bubba the Love Sponge, and who else was in there? Tom Likas.
It is adorable.
Alex Jones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys.
There were 7 guys in that?
There were 7 guys in the montage.
I guessed 1.
7 guys all sounding very similar. All trying to make believe like they're setting the radio world on fire with their delivery and their voice. So
I thought E-Rock's promo. Eric, we just listened to your promo.
Oh, God.
We just listened to you promoting some old XM best of. And you sound good.
It's horrible.
You list a bunch of stuff. It's good.
In your radio voice.
Could you say something in your radio voice, please?
It's very energetic. Anything?
Good enough.
I don't
Yeah, great.
Yeah, God almighty, Eric. Talk.
Millionaire's tax could find New York City mass transit. Obama calls for talks with Iran over Iraq.
He can't even do it right.
You know what I want to do right now? I want to grab your neck fat and pull it up over your head like a sweater and kiss you.
Like a tip.
All right. That worked. All right, let's move on to something else.
Yeah, I thought that was fun.
For 10 seconds.
Yeah, it was good. We really had nothing after it.
The Jesse Ventura thing from the other day is getting a lot of chatter.
A lot of attention, some chatter.
Well, you got the 9/11 conspiracy guys. They've pretty much jumped on the fact that Jesse was on our show and arguing with Jimmy for the most part. Jimmy and Jesse going at it.
Yeah, he was terrific. His instincts just really kicked in when he walked around down at Ground Zero. Boy, a mere 6.5 to 7 years later. Wait a minute.
You know, I was talking to my son about it, and, were you?
Yeah, good.
What did he say? Pointed it to some lame website.
There was probably loose
half-truths.
It was probably
of course
loose
it was.
change or something. But if you're into talking about the 9/11 conspiracy thing, you should go to Whackbag because they're rocking that topic on that message board big time. The Jesse Ventura thing just stimulated that whole conversation.
Yep.
And we're getting people from other message boards and other radio shows all coming to, Whackbag because they all heard about the Jesse Ventura interview.
God, they're trying so hard to make it like the 60s. There should be an investigation. All right, into maybe certain failures in communication.
All right, gatekeeper.
Yeah, just childish.
You know what? I'm starting to think that Oswald just got lucky and killed the president of the United States. Because I'm starting to think like in 9/11 terms. When 9/11 happened, we were all here, everybody, whether you were in New York City or watching on TV, you're like, wow, planes just took down the Twin Towers. It was as obvious as that.
Yeah.
6 years later, some of these conspiracy theories, they got, I hate to say it, they got some legs. I still I don't believe it whatsoever, but they got some legs. And I'm starting to think, back in the day with JFK, I bet you the same thing happened. It was Oswald. He shot the president. End of story. But then you start getting a little info here, a little info there. And next thing you know, it becomes this massive, huge thing.
Man.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. He just rattled off some shots, got lucky. Got lucky on one of them.
But then all of a sudden somebody came up with one little thing that was a little suspicious, and that led to this thing that was suspicious. And then, well, what about the lady with the weird hat on the lawn? Oh, well, let's add that to this thing.
saw a puff of smoke.
Puff of smoke from behind the fence. Well, we'll add that to the thing. Next thing you know,
bolt-action rifle. How the hell could he fire off that many rounds?
Right, and then a bunch of years go by, and then you got this massive conspiracy thing.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if the same thing is slowly but surely happening with the 9/11 thing.
Well, there's also been a lot of myths, and I don't know all of them, about the JFK conspiracy. It's like you read it, and the way the conspiracy, a lot of them paint it, it's like, of course it would be a conspiracy if it happened that way. But when you hear certain facts like, well, no, because the lady with the hat felt a bullet whisk through the flower. And you're like, how could the FBI have missed that? But then you go to, the anti-conspiracy website, that just simply didn't happen.
Yeah.
It sounds great, but it didn't happen.
There's a lot of just lies on those sites that are they're disproven.
Yeah.
By documentation, photographs, and records of people that were on site. Like the loose change comes up with these theories and what they say is fact. And then you would look at other sites, and it's like, no, here's a picture of a part of the fuselage with the windows in it, where they said there were no windows in that plane that hit. Well, what are these, dummy?
Yeah. I just disappointed my brother Elmo.
Oh.
You want to talk about conspiracy theories? He's all about JFK.
Yeah.
He's all about it. He spends hours and hours online arguing with these
knows everything about it,
and he believes that there was a lot going on that day.
Yeah,
he doesn't think it was just Oswald whatsoever. And he writes today, read the actual Warren Commission testimony. Who has time to read that? I get my info from the internet, a little here, a little there. How many people heard shots from the knoll? It's incredible. According to the Warren Commission, there were a lot of people that heard shots from the grassy knoll that day.
Yeah. Could have been echoes. I'm not even saying it wasn't another guy. I'm not going to say it wasn't Oswald and another guy who just got away.
Could have been echoes on a fence. You hear that crack, crack. It sounds like more shots because sound travels slow,
right?
Relatively speaking, and you could definitely make out the difference in time when someone fires a shot and you hear it ricochet off the sound ricochet off a fence.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to sound like it's coming from the fence.
Right.
It's going to sound like two shots. One came from the fence.
There was a good point I read about somebody who was talking about the grassy knoll, and he was saying that a lot of people, everyone ran towards the knoll after the shot, and the point was, how many people, when they hear a bullet fired, run towards the gun?
Yeah.
You run away from it.
Yeah.
You don't run towards where the gunman is.
Must run toward gunman.
And they all ran up the grassy knoll.
Yeah.
So again, I would guess to get away. But he's right. People did say they heard a shot.
Maybe that was the easy way out, because we all spent some time in Dealey Plaza, and if you're in the middle there, you're going to want to run to the outside, and maybe that was just the closest escape route. I don't know.
It's to the end.
Yeah.
You're running to a place that you can hide.
Yeah.
You can't hide there in Dealey Plaza. What, you lay on the yellow line and pretend you're part of the street? There's nowhere to go.
We should do a JFK show maybe on the other side. My brother has more knowledge than anyone out there. Simple as that. I mean, he will spin your head with what he knows, and and doesn't know, I guess.
Dude, he better shut up about it.
Yeah, no kidding.
People, can come and get him.
Dude, the government's not going to find him. We can't even find him at this point.
Yeah, where the hell is he?
I don't know. Our own family doesn't know where he is half the time, so how is the government going to find him?
They'll follow a T-shirt trail.
By the way, Brother Elmo completed his book. He put together a fine book that skews TV and movies, and there's a lot of his cartoons in there. And he's trying to get a publisher. He's got some bites, so we're keeping our fingers crossed for Brother Elmo. Go to MySpace, Brother Elmo, and you can check out some samples of his book. It's pretty damn good. I hope it gets published. I think that'd be really cool for him.
And talk to him about Black Dog Man. He knows who that is.
He does. He certainly does.
And how technology has proved that Black Dog Man was 2 feet tall. I'll sit you down, Elmo. We'll talk.
2 feet tall.
Technology is hurting some of the JFK conspiracy stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Darren goes, my brother Elmo goes, Zapruder film shows JFK's head violently flying backwards. Oswald alone is BS. But they try to explain that too, right?
No, yeah.
We'll never know, man.
Anyway. This guy, has Aunt seen Loose Change? Yes, I watched the whole thing.
You said you didn't.
Oh, shut up. I did.
I heard you only did 5 minutes.
No, I watched the entire thing.
And then you had to go to the bathroom again.
Yeah, that was crap. It was Loose Change pouring out.
Tom, go ahead.
Tom, yes?
Yeah, Ann, listen, you watched Loose Change, right?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
Now, when the planes hit the towers, they left the impression of the wings on the side and everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now when they hit the Pentagon, where's the impression of the wings?
All right, the Pentagon's made out of brick. Very, very, it's a lot tougher than the metal on the outside of the Trade Center. Also, right. the plane hit.
Sorry, he's telling you. He's answering your question.
Dude, the plane hit on an angle. It didn't hit straight into the Pentagon at a 90-degree angle to the wall. It hit at an angle that you're not going to get the impression of the silhouette of a plane. That's just how it happened.
Do you think it's possible for that 757 to make it all the way through the building like they showed?
Yeah.
You know, the different layers?
It went through a few rings of the Pentagon. Yeah, it's absolutely possible. The engines, it did, and you could see the outline of the plane that they show when you take away the smoke and stuff. Because Loose Change likes to show you the picture of the Pentagon with a lot of debris and stuff in front of the image.
They showed all kinds of stuff about how Osama bin Laden was taken to a hospital by U.S. people and a bunch of nonsense.
They see this,
but I'm with Jesse Ventura on a lot of things.
That's
and
terrific.
If he ran for president, I'd vote.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. He's a terrific guy. He can't handle a debate without being a baby and spinning his microphone around. Go, okay, you convinced me.
Yeah, he was getting
real presidential material. Because that's how Clinton or Obama or Reagan would handle it. You convinced me. All right, we get it. We get it. Navy SEAL, tough, real knowledge. We get it.
Yeah, he got really frustrated, and it wasn't like we were.
Find out one day.
Right.
Yes, we will.
Find out one day that a cruise missile was shot at the Pentagon. Is that what I'm led to believe?
Yeah, we'll find out.
That it was a cruise missile. It was a plane, just like the planes that hit the building, just like the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania. It was another plane. The guy came in and hit the Pentagon with an airplane.
All right. Hey,
what about the people? I love that. Where did the people go that were on that flight that hit the Pentagon?
And who built the windowless plane with the bombs? And, how did air traffic control it? I understand the transponders were up, but there's 4 planes flying around that took off.
Yeah.
With When did they magically get replaced by the other planes?
Yeah.
Okay, so at one point there had to be a shift in the air where the real planes with the people takes off to kill them. And at perfect timing, the windowless bomb-laden planes have to all appear.
They have to appear, and then where are the people? Did the government just kill the people? Did they go, sorry, people, your flight now is being, we have to land somewhere else. These armed military people will escort you to a hangar where you'll be executed.
Yeah, what soldiers did this? Soldiers are 19. They can't keep a secret either.
Listen,
taking pictures of the prisoners in Iraq with leashes, and that dumb Lindy England with her thumbs up,
and her stupid What?
I'm just trying to get in here because we made the Loose Change blog.
Oh.
Screw them.
Loose Change 9/11 blog. Jim Norton makes me nauseous.
Good. I'm glad.
Posted April 9th, 2008. Let me read this. It's a paragraph. A while back, I was on the Opie and Anthony show. Corey had scheduled an interview with an unknown XM radio show. When I walked into work that morning to pack DVDs, and he was in
an unknown XM radio show?
When I walked into work that morning
screw off, you dopes.
To pack DVDs, and he was in panic mode because he was being attacked at a rampant pace. I immediately jumped on the phone and tried to be civil while not realizing what show I was on. It wasn't until after I hung up that I realized I had just been berated and cursed out by Jim Norton, a physically...
Oh, no.
Sorry, Jim.
Oh, no. Is he going to make fun of the way I look?
Sorry, Jim.
Oh, no.
I apologize ahead of time before I read the next word.
What?
A physically hideous being.
Hideous?
With no talent. I love the people that just take it to that level.
Oh, what's the
no
matter?
talent. Okay.
Little children. What's the matter? Didn't like the scolding.
Yeah.
Aw.
Who resorts to making jokes about having sex with underage girls.
What?
That's all Jim Norton does?
Doesn't.
And
part of what I do. Part of it.
Sure.
A small part
if
you
you
put it all together.
I love writing jokes like that.
Right.
I don't resort to them. I start off with them. You dummies, little children looking for mommy and daddy's love. I want to solve the crime.
I'm going to be somebody.
Yeah, man.
And then it continues. Be warned, the audio in this clip is full of language not appropriate for youngsters.
I wonder if they show the same warning when they show the 9/11 footage. The people handle planes going through the building.
Yeah.
They can handle me cursing you out, little child.
So they got that audio of when Loose Change was on our show back in the day.
They stunk. And they couldn't defend their point.
No, not at all. They never do.
Stunk.
And then after the link for the clip, it says, so why bring it up at this point? Well,
it's all
Jesse Ventura was in studio. I'm telling you, our Jesse Ventura interview it's got legs. It's starting to spread around. Was in studio with these clowns the other day and schooled them.
Again, just a little.
Are you
he
crazy?
Schooled us?
He knows he didn't.
Jesse Ventura did not school. I was pretty much out of that segment. Did not school Anthony and Jim Norton. The guy went like this with his microphone because he was frustrated because he was losing so bad.
That's why. Like I just once I got an email from a guy who's a 9/11 conspiracy guy. He and I always go back and forth, whatever. But he goes, Jesse didn't know what he was talking about because he knew Jesse made an ass of himself. But it figures that the little blog boy on that site would say that because that's what a little boy does. They side with whatever their site is. Jesse won. Jesse won.
Jesse showed them.
But he didn't. And you know he didn't.
He didn't have. He couldn't back anything up.
Right.
He's coming up with these cockamamie, harebrained ideas.
We got a break, but let me get the rest of this in here. Well, Jesse Ventura was in studio with these clowns the other day and schooled them. Sure, he's a much more physically imposing guy than myself. It was looking these guys in the eyes, but his mind is just as imposing. While most people are focusing on his appearance on Hannity and Combs, I think this is a true gem. And then he has the audio. How much of the audio does he have? Because another site only had a clip of our interview with Jesse Ventura where Jesse was making a bunch of points without us counteracting his points.
Oh, we actually allowed him to speak.
Exactly.
Uninterrupted. Jeez.
And
go screw us.
And the interview is has made its way to Fark.com. It was on the front page yesterday. Supposedly Break.com might throw it on their front page today or tomorrow. So this thing's got legs. If you want to go to loosechange911.com/blog and see what this clown wrote about Norton, and if you want to see the video of the Jesse Ventura interview, that's up there as well. But I'm sure it's only a piece. I don't think they would post the whole thing.
I'm glad I make you nauseous. What you're trying to do, you stink, and you're just little children trying to prove an unprovable point because you want to be different. You can't just handle the fact that, that's what happened, and it sucked. They caught us with our pants down, and you don't like that.
No one could deal with that. Not no one, but these conspiracy guys. They can't just deal with the fact that, hey, we screwed up. Well, what about all the security? It's like, yeah, exactly. What about it? Yeah. It's screwed up.
Why don't the FBI and the CIA talk? I don't know.
Yeah.
Apparently should have.
Yeah.
How are these savages allowed to come into the country on student visas? I don't know. They should have been able to.
Jesse the Body says they should all be allowed in.
Of course. No borders. If I was president, there wouldn't be borders. Oh, good.
We'd allow everybody in.
That's good.
Yeah, good. Good policy.
Yeah, let's go to John in New York. John.
Guys, I think the guy with the airplane comment had a valid point, because I saw it on Bugs Bunny. He ran right through the wall and left a perfect outline of himself in the wall.
Yeah, that's what they expect.
He's getting his knowledge from cartoons. So this all leads to a fine production piece that Derek did for us. It's called And Justice for Brawl.
For one night only, two heavyweights will do battle in a steel cage. Only one man will walk out with his wits intact. When Jesse the Body Ventura takes on Slugneck Jimmy Norton.
All I can say is that, and I have no background that you guys have, certainly, as a Navy SEAL.
I know you're a Navy SEAL.
I'm answering your question.
But you're not. You're saying I'm not a Navy SEAL. What's that got to do with it?
Opie and Anthony present Conspiracy Mania 6 and Justice for Brawl.
Here we go! Anything goes!
Why is it that when you're asking questions that are speculative and I ask a question, you get angry? Why are you getting angry?
Oh, yeah, look out here! Hey!
All I'm doing is asking questions.
I know, but I'm saying that we're trying to give some kind of common sense answers, and we give a common sense answer.
You can try to out-yell me.
No, but
and do
I'm
all
just
that
trying
you
to
want.
answer you.
There is your failure.
It's not out-yelling you, but you ask a question. You throw a question out, and I try to answer or at least speculate, and then you go, oh, okay, time.
Yes, you're an experienced guy that would know.
Not just common sense. Like you said, you use common sense. And I ain't no Navy SEAL, but I have common sense.
We told you, this is going to be a brawl.
See it live, nowhere, because it already happened. It's Conspiracy Mania 6 and Justice for Brawl.